the brakes. Koenigsegg, yep, he's got the advantage, but unironically the average ducks to the inside. What a move! But Koenigsegg accelerating back on the outside. And there goes Salty Bonkos to the inside, bashing door panels, sparks flying, smoke spraying. The Butler is going to go wide. Salty Bonkos on the inside. They're a little bit off the pace, but now accelerating all 500 horsepower. Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, and welcome to Virtual Auto Sports as we attempt to hop right into season number 33, the finale, the qualifying session out at Prague Short Circuit in reverse for the Forza Spec Racing Series season number 33, week number 5. Yes, folks, it looks like we've got everything sorted out in terms of the connectivity issues with the game server, and we jumped right into qualifying here with, riding on board with Corbin here, who's turned around a little bit at the start-finish line as we go up to, let's take a look at, I'm going to go ahead and put the camera here on Megachin's car. And it looks like they have just started their first standing start lap, perhaps on their first flying lap now at this point. We're getting a bunch of loading screens as it appears drivers are jumping out of the session. So we're going to hop back out as well, and we'll reconvene with the crew here in just a second. Collisions were left on, says Slow Motion Fire. Perfect. We didn't miss a second of qualifying. There's a look at the leaderboard as we join things here. Back on Virtual Auto Sports. Again, yes, we're reconnected here after having some issues getting into the lobby, but AMS Udakan at the top of the leaderboard right now with 300 points total, and that secures for Udakan the Season 33 championship. No matter what happens here today, because there was a week in which Udakan had a first place finish and then I think a second place finish there out at the Nürburgring. Even if Udakan were to come away from this race with 0 points, then he still comes away here in Season 33 as the champion. I'm Dustin Moore, and yeah, it's a crazy way to start the broadcast, but I'm glad we're up and running, and fortunately, because things were a little messed up on the lobby side, they're going to go ahead and restart things, which means we'll be able to see qualifying all the way through the beginning. We're out here at the Prague Short Circuit. It's 1.82 miles. 3 laps of qualifying followed by a 69-lap race. Yes, there will be 69 laps around the track, and because Prague, even though it is a fantasy track, the first and only fantasy track that has been run here in season number 33, there is a pit stop. There is a pit area available. Therefore, sim damage will be turned on. That includes tire degradation, fuel depletion, contact collisions, and all that jazz will necessitate a pit stop, I believe, at least once in this race, although there was a driver who, back in week number 4, when we talked to them in the driver's spotlight, said, I'm not too sure that it will be required. Take number 2, says Udakan. Yes, indeed, take number 2, LSCM Chaos Fox with the host. Thank you very much, Chaos Fox. Much appreciated as we see D-Fire, who's going to be the first off the line out here at Prague to lead them around the track. The city circuit, it is one of the few city circuits in Forza Motorsport 7, which is a little bit saddening because that's an indication that, one, in the real world, there is a lack of city circuits these days, as the requirements for safety and, of course, the need to close down bulk sections of a city to have a city race become less and less favorable as far as the conditions go. People say, nah, let's not do that. Go out to a racetrack and race. And so the Prague fantasy track here in Forza Motorsport 7, one of the few city circuits that they get to run. With buildings on either side, you got concrete barricades, you've got the fans there, the digital sprites that are waving their flags and cheering everybody on. And here comes D-Fire past all the cars as they try to leave enough room in between each vehicle. That's why there are still some vehicles sitting on the line. They're waiting to roll off, and then in addition to that, trying to find a spot within the grid where they can kind of make out some clear air around them. Not so much for drafting and slipstreaming potential, because that is gone here in the qualifying session, but so that they can see clearly into these corners. With all of the cars qualifying together and they're in ghosted mode when they start to approach each other, it can get a little bit tricky looking into those apexes and finding the right point to turn. As an example, my legendary lap Forza Racing Championship event back on gosh, why am I getting all my days and names mixed up? Back on Friday, during Forza Friday, when we were out at Suzuka, the full track there, in the Porsche Strassenversen GT1 car, was having all kinds of issues with the Ghost vehicle out in front of me in Rivals mode. And so if you can imagine here, with about 20 or so vehicles out on the track, you're looking for that ideal opportunity to have nobody around you so that you can see clearly. And here's a great example as we ride on board there, the front bumper of D-Fire's car. You've got Magnolia and another driver up there in front of them, which, if they were a little bit closer, would make it tricky as far as seeing that driving line, or at least that apex where to turn in. Looking at the stats currently for this race, it's going to be SGR Corbin with a 108.212, and that's from a standing start. 3 qualifying laps, they'll get 2 flying laps. That first standing one, sure, you can get a clean lap and maybe it won't be your fastest, but if it's your only clean lap, which can be difficult to obtain here on a city circuit, well, then that'll count too. But it's really on these 2 flying laps where if you get a good entry across the start-finish line into turn number 1 and can hold that pace all the way around the track and keep it clean, then it should be your quickest time. Here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, the way that it works is the fastest dirty lap will always be slower than the slowest clean lap in terms of grid ordering. So you want that clean lap first and foremost to ensure that you're being compared apples to apples with the other drivers on the track. And then on lap 2 and 3, really go for a quick time, hoping that one of those are at least a quick lap time with no dirty lap symbol. And we'll see that on the post-race results. If anybody happens to stick with a dirty lap all the way through, will be a triangle with an exclamation mark in it. AMS Storm saying Udakan's going to start from the back and bend it into someone in lap 1, calling it now. Could be. We were talking with AMS Udakan and I believe Storm and a couple of the other drivers last week, and they were essentially saying that, yeah, why wouldn't there be a reason? And I said Storm. I don't think it was Storm. It was somebody else, but essentially, why would they kind of sandbag in this event? If AMS Udakan's are going to come away as the Season 33 champion, you might as well go all out. What do you have to lose? It's a community league anyway, so what do you have to lose? Any race, any of the 9 races throughout the Forza Spec Racing Series season, but especially so here in the 9th and final race where a champion has already theoretically been crowned. Well, that lap came out of nowhere, says Udakan. Udakan, who goes ahead and secures a 106.836 as the quickest time right now, watching Mega Chin's car get around the track, and behind Mega Chin is SGR Corrid. Some of these drivers are already on their 3rd and final lap as they cross the line. The same can be said there for Mega Chin, I do believe. And once they all have set their time, we will go back into the pre-race lobby, take a look at those times. Soul Motion Fire, the organizer of these events, will go ahead and coordinate things to assign everybody the proper grid spot. This being the last race of the season, Season 34 will be coming up quicker than you know it, and AMS Udakan, who is the Season 33 champion, will be picking the vehicle in which everybody will be racing there in season number 34. And if you're the least bit interested in community-based, league-based racing here in Forza Motorsport 7, whether you've got it for the Xbox One or the PC, go ahead and go over to reddit.com/r/FM4. All the information you need to know and how to get signed up will be posted there in the coming weeks as they get ready for season 34 and as they announce what vehicle it's going to be. And the way that they do it too is pretty unique here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, is that the champion will tell Slow Motion Fire, this is the vehicle that I want run in season 34 in this case, because that will be the next season. And Slow Motion Fire will take some photos of that vehicle, some pretty obscure photos that you can't very easily make out what the car is, but you guess over there on their Reddit forum, again, reddit.com/r/FM4, you guess the vehicle correctly based on those photos, and as a participant, you then get to pick the track, one of the tracks that get raced in Season 34. There are 9 races in total, 1 drop week out of the 5 drop weeks, so it'll take the total of your best 4, and that will count toward your championship total. Speaking of which, before we run through all the lap times, there again is a look at your leaderboard entering the 5th and final week here of season number 33. We already talked about it there, and it has it as a footnote. AMS Uticon has secured the season 33 championship. Carbon TI at 278, just 1 point in front of DUR Corvid. Those two exchanging position on the leaderboard coming out of week number 4. Craytrim in 4th with 254, DTR Maverick, then Audrex, Fear the Fun, IPR Wolf, there in the bottom left corner, 8th position with 200 points. Starting in that middle column, CMD Slipstream, LSEM Chaos Fox, Born as Ghost, DOR Hocus at 127, SVR Salty Bonkos, Foontangs, Hoot Wheels, Dark Sir, Phantom, Modern Weapon, Kuda, Megachin, Slow Motion Fire, Grim, Joe Beardy, AX4X, Big Ben. Those drivers making up 13th through 24th. And then we do have some drivers that don't fall on the leaderboard because we just don't have enough room, meaning that there are plenty of opportunities and space for you to get involved here in the Forza Spec Racing Series each and every season. And even if not a full season, I'm sure they'll be happy to accommodate you in the races that you can attend. You just need to sign up, let them know who you are, and then that way they can get you into the lobby whenever there is a race and whenever they have spaces. All the vehicles have the same upgrades. That's the reason why it's called the Forza Spec Racing Series. The thing that is different is there are some assists that you can change up depending on what your preferences are. And then also the tunes from track to track, race to race, week to week. You can adjust those tunes to fit your driving style and your preferences. All right, let's take a look at those lap times. A lot of drivers, actually all the drivers, with at least 1 clean lap time, and that's what we like to see. Magnolia at a 108.771, D-Fire with a 116.322, Megachin at a 109.947, SGR Corvette at a 108.212, T-Phrase clocks in at a 110. T-Phrase joining the Forza Spec Racing Series here in season number 33 for the first time this entire season, which is always great to see drivers come back on the season finale, even if they haven't been here all season, say, hey, I want to participate in the fun, the celebratory send-off of a season. Audrex there with a 109.013, Fear the Fun at an 019.119. Viral Mist coming in at a 110.184, Slipstream with a 109.333, Craytrim 108.561, a 106.836 there for AMS Uticon. Pontiac, I say Pontiac, it's Pontiac Solstice driven by Kuda 93 with a 110.448. Then you see Born as Ghost's time at a 110.0 or 0.7, and then IPR Wolf at a 108.548. Foontang, Hocus, Carbon, LSEM Chaos Fox, Grim, Slow Motion Fire, DTR Maverick, Modern Weapon, the 22 drivers posting a time here in qualifying. Great to see 22 drivers out on the track of the 23 spots available. Awesome stuff. We've got Crimson here in the chat. Sober David is here. Carryout is here. Matt 661, who had the host earlier. Unfortunately, we've had to reset things, so appreciate Matt 661 and Sober David making that happen earlier ago. AMS Uticon's there in the pit lane, or the Twitch chat as it's otherwise known. And then we also had earlier Martin FM. We had Sober David, and I believe I saw Carry Out in there maybe earlier. Actually, I do. I see Carry Out there just now. Says, don't look at my time. I dirtied my last 2 laps. So Carry Out getting the standing start clean lap. And thank you for the host there, Carry Out. Much appreciated. Turning over there to the driver's spotlight. No drivers have hopped in there for the interview, but perhaps we'll get them after the race has cleaned up and finished, as drivers are now getting readied up and set for 69 laps, 1.82 mile Prague short circuit in reverse here in Forza Motorsport 7. It's a very tricky track. It debuted in Forza Motorsport 5 when Forza Motorsport 5 was announced for the new Xbox One console platform. And so this is a track that now has been in 3 iterations of the Forza Motorsport franchise. And it's a tricky track to learn, particularly the full track. This shorter version is all the squiggly bits through the inner city part. The full track has a little bit where you go out onto the countryside and then drop back down into the city. But all in all, beautiful, beautiful track, which is built based off of the layout of a particular portion of Prague. It's city center, going over the river. The name of the river escapes me. It's not the Rhine River, is it? I don't think so. But it's a beautiful track. It's one that you need to be fully invested into in terms of your focus, because it being a city course, you don't have the runoff area. You don't have a lot of runoff areas like you would at a racing circuit, those that have them built in. Here you've got some corners on either end of the track. I do believe the north and the south end that have a little bit wider areas to navigate, but for the most part, you're working with a concrete barrier on either side with maybe just room for 2 vehicles to go side by side. And fortunately, because this is a fantasy track, there are no official corner names, but the Forza Spec Racing Series folks, the participants, have gone ahead and drawn up a few names. So we'll go through those here throughout the evening as the cars get around the track for 69 laps. One thing I do want to mention as we get ready for the start of this race, you'll notice that D.R. Hokus is sporting the Children's of Alabama livery there on his car. He's racing in honor of that hospital there in Birmingham, Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, a hospital that's been providing pediatric care since 1911. And certainly in this weird and strange world in which we're living in with the pandemic that's happening, we're wishing all the children and their families, whether they're affected by COVID or any other number of diseases, the very best and a speedy recovery. And then, of course, we would be remiss not to give a big thanks to all of the healthcare pros for standing on the front lines each and every day. They're the ones who are braving the brunt of this pandemic. And even in the best of times, obviously, even in the best of times, they are working to protect the well-being of the most precious and innocent folks that we have on this earth, the children. So kudos to D.R. Hokus for racing for a cause here this evening. Slow Motion Fire giving us an indication there in the pit lane that it looks like we're going to go live here in just a second. It appears that LSCM Chaos Fox has not yet readied up, and I did see one other D.R. Hokus. It looks like that vehicle, which we just showcased there, getting loaded in. So hopefully D.R. Hokus will be able to get into the race. One driver with a loading issue, says Slow Motion Fire, and we're noticing that here. D.R. Hokus, it is, in fact, his vehicle which is having troubles. LSCM Chaos Fox remains unreadied as they go ahead and try to sort things out on that end. And just as a reminder of what things look like all throughout the season here, and this is kind of what you can expect to see. And that's not exactly what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for. A schedule. So they'll replicate this for season number 34 with 5 weeks of racing, that 5th week being one event, an endurance event like we have here tonight out at Prague for 69 laps. And then the other 4 weeks, the preceding 4 weeks, are 2 races per evening. All right, it looks like D.R. Hokus is on the grid and ready to go. They're going ahead and verifying the grid order here with AMS Udakan lined up on the pole position. Opposite of him will be Carbon TI. Then in row number 2, SGR Corbin. DTR Maverick in P4. Row number 3, P5 is IPR Wolf with Cratrium. Then it's Magnolia and Foontang sharing a spot there in row number 4. Audrex and Fear the Fun round out the top 10. CMB Slipstream and Slow Motion Fire, P11 and 12. Chaos Fox, Mega Chin, 13th and 14th, Bornas Ghost, Viral Mist, Kuda, T-Phrase, Modern Weapon, D.R. Hokus, Grim, and D-Fire. Again, 22 drivers of the 23 grid spots that we have available. We love having such a large and vast and very diverse grid of drivers in both skill level, where they're coming from, kind of who they represent, maybe if they're racing for a pro team and all that great stuff. AMS Unicom perhaps maybe a little eager to get off the line there, and maybe that's just from our point of view, throws on the brakes, a little puff of smoke. As soon as Udakan leaves, everybody else can go. And there's the sign. Kick the tires and light the fires. The season 33 finale here in the Forza Spec Racing Series and the Pontiac GXP Solstice is underway. AMS Udakan's going to lead them into Yeet Corner. Turn number 1 here as they get ready to go to Diagon Alley. AMS Udakan is going to lead. It's going to be Carbon TI, SGR Corvid, DTR Maverick, IPR Wolf, Kratrium, Fear the Fawn, Foontang, Audrex, and Slow Motion Fire back there in 10th position. Let's go to Slow Motion Fire, who's there in 10th, getting ready to go out onto the first of the 2 bridges out here on the track. They'll go across it now, and then they'll go across the water a little bit later on, although I don't know that it's a bridge style the next time over. I think it actually is. It's a quicker bridge, however. Now through Church Yeet and then into the Tunnel of Love, the drivers say. They've named all the corners for us and all the straightaways here out at the Prague short reverse circuit. Slow Motion Fire there in 10th position. Back up to the front of the pack. Let's go to SGR Corvid running here in 3rd position. Yes, there is a little bit of a bridge there, and then they go under an overpass and then over this little archway before they cross the line and begin lap number 2. AMS Udakan, our season 33 leader on the leaderboard and who will ultimately be our champion here in season 33, continues to lead them around. Carbon TI in 2nd, who qualified in P2. SGR Corvid and DTR Maverick are 3rd and 4th. IPR Wolf in 5th. Fear the Fawn, Foontang, Kratrium, Audrex, Slow Motion Fire still hanging on to the 10th position. Then it's Slipstream, Chaos Fox, Magnolia, Megachin, Born as Ghost, Hocus, Modern Weapon, Kuda, Grim, Viral Mist, T-Phrase, and D-Fire. Udakan humming there in the pit lane, our Twitch chat, as he's racing. Some typing and racing. That's always a very precarious situation. Folks, don't do that in the real world. No texting and driving. As Corbin now comes around turn number 3, there we see the backside of him is DTR Maverick going into turn number 2, back into Diagon Alley. And then out there they come out of this very claustrophobic section with the buildings on either side. It'll be into Hamburglar Pass, and there goes Carbon getting up into the wall, getting Corvid there to the inside of him, and now Corvid will move up to 2nd position. Carbon dropping back to 3rd, Maverick here in 4th, and let's go back to Maverick and let's ride on board, and you'll get a sense of just how crazy this circuit is once you get into the, again, the kind of the more claustrophobic areas, getting into the Tunnel of Love here in Prague, and there is some light at the end of this tunnel and also off to the side, so it's not a very dark tunnel. And now here into the handlebar section, they call it, and underneath the bridge and up and over the river onto Thanos Strait and across the line, which is right about there, beginning of lap number 4. Goes Carbon. Carbon's going to take the inside line, tags the apex there on the second half of Yeet, and now he's going to have to come back out on the track with traffic approaching. Carbon now back to 8th position. That's going to allow DTR Maverick up to 3rd. Let's go to IPR Wolf in 4th. And not entirely sure whether or not Carbon has got damage to that vehicle. Let's go check it out and go to the Virtual Autosports Rewind to see what looked like, what might have happened. It appears, as we'll see here after the camera comes off the hood view, there you go with Carbon to the inside, tries to scoot in there before DTR Maverick approaches and tags the wall. And as we take a look at the vehicle situation here for Carbon, yes, he does indeed have some damage. And let's see if he pulls it into pit lane for a stop. Yep, he's going to point the front of that Pontiac GXP Solstice into pit lane, and there he goes. Let's go to Fear the Fun, who's moved up to 5th position. The Pontiac GXP, 265 horsepower here in the world of Forza Motorsport 7. That's only 5 more horsepower than it came stock off the showroom floor. 265 equal pounds of torque, foot-pounds of torque, and then 2,882 pounds, that's the vehicle curb weight, bringing this vehicle to C500 Performance Index within Forza Motorsport 7. And that Performance Index is just a measure of how these vehicles corner, accelerate, what their top speed is, how their braking works, how effective their braking is. And there's a car that looks like T-Phrase onto the inside there through the tunnel of love. Not loving the tunnel so much right now. I think that was T-Phrase. And there goes Futang into the side of Fear the Fun. Fear the Fun's going to go ahead and power slide it there through handlebar, back out on the Thanos straight, under the overpass and across the line. Fear the Fun will hold on to 5th. Let's jump back to Futang, who's riding in 7th, back behind Craytrim. Craytrim, who is in 6th. Fork-trailed Fox, or fork-tailed Fox. Thank you very much for the follow. And Carry Out with the host. Thank you, Carry Out. We'll take a look at that one here on the Virtual Auto Sports Rewind. Fear the Fun and Craytrim getting tangled up. Go ahead and hop on board here with Futang, that NVIDIA livery car. Back behind Craytrim, you see Fear the Fun up ahead after Fear the Fun and Craytrim got into it through this very same section a lap ago. Still a long race remaining, says Matt 6661. Indeed, 69 laps, that 70th that you see up there in the upper left, that'll be a cool-down lap. And usually on the finales, they'll go into a formation. So we look forward to seeing that one. Across the line, there goes Futang into turn number 1. Craytrim going to bring it back down to the apex. That shuts the door there for Futang. Not going to be able to make that pass. And here's the more complicated bits of this track right here. You go up over those curbings there with the sidewalk jutting out onto the street. And then you've got to do the little squiggly part right here, a little snake action, and out onto the bridge. Futang clipping the wall, going to slow him down a bit. Able to keep it pointed in the right direction. That's good because he's got quite a bit of traffic back behind him. In 8th position is Audrex. Magnolia up to 9th now. Dior Hocus, whose car we spotlighted there during the countdown, has moved up to 10th and is now making a move here on Magnolia for 9th position. Dior Hocus not only racing for the Children's of Alabama Hospital, but also his employer is going to donate based on his finish here this evening. So Dior Hocus doing everything he can to put on not only a great show, but come away with a great position after 69 laps are all said and done. Entering turn number 1 once again. We've got a 4, make it 5. 5-some coming into turn number 1. It's going to be Dior Hocus is going to lead them through Magnolia and Hocus and Slipstream. And it's actually Magnolia and Slipstream who are going to go side by side now, which is not great when you get to the S's bit right here. And now they'll go ahead back into single file formation. LSCM Chaos Fox cruising up from the back of the pack. He is currently running in 12th, back behind Slipstream. Magnolia in 10th. Hocus up to 9th after making that pass through the Church Yeet section, which is this corner right here, and now into the tunnel. Our leader is AMS Udakan, who's trying to make it 8 for 9. The only race that Udakan has not won here in Season 33 was the Nürburgring Nordschleife event back in week number 3. Craytrim. Actually, SGR Corvette grabbing that win out there at the Nürburgring. Our closest battle, it is here with Fear the Fun and Craytrim. Let's go there for 5th, with Fear the Fun currently occupying that spot. He's got the Swordfish Motorsport, and actually Craytrim has the Swordfish Motorsport color and livery there on his car. It's the Hypermax vehicle of Fear the Fun that's up in there in 5th position. Fear the Fun, he's going to drift it through the corner before pounding it into the wall, and now he runs Craytrim up onto the right side guardrail. Craytrim says, yeah, well, that's great, but I'm going to go ahead and make a move on you. Craytrim goes up to 5th. Fear the Fun right there on his back bumper as they head into the final left corner, back up the hill or the bridge, and toward the start-finish line for the beginning of lap number 10. SDR Corbin and Udakan, second and first respectively. They've got a back marker between them. DTR Maverick at third. IPR Wolf starting to be out there on his own as Craytrim, Boontang, Fear the Fawn, Odd Drex, Hocus, and Magnolia back here to 10th position. They've got a nice little grouping at mid-pack. LSCM Chaos Fox up there too, and Slow Motion Fire with Slipstream and Born as Ghost. A whole slew of cars from 5th on back to 14th. Let's go hang out with, let's go to 7th position with Fear the Fun, who's trying to reclaim position, losing 2 of those spots. Lost it to Craytrim there in the Tunnel of Love, and then Futang moving up as a result. He saw what was going on, and we've got a car that's turned around. It's going to be Grim. And that blue Solstice, and Grim is going to safely remain parked there because he's got a lot of traffic approaching. You don't want to try to do any sort of reversing and three-point turn when you've got cars screaming at you at 100 miles an hour with nowhere else to go. And here comes Fear the Fun, who may have had some contact with the wall requiring this pit stop. Going back up to Futang here in 6th behind Craytrim. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me after the technical, not the technical details, the technical difficulties that we had at the start of the broadcast. Unable to get into the lobby due to some networking issues, but now we are in. We got to see qualifying. AMS Udakan coming away with the pole position there. Carbon was 2nd, and that's how those two are currently situated in this race of 69 out here at the Prague short track in reverse. Into handlebar. Bootang is going to take the low line. Craytrim swings it out wide. Then they both go over that. It's going to be like a turtle shell type curbing there. It's quite a bump. A speed bump over there. Get a couple wheels up in the air for you. Now here comes Futang, who's once again going to take the low line with Craytrim on the high side. And he closes the gap to less than half a car length. And he's going to sit back behind Craytrim now as they go through the right-hander, the left-hander, then another left and a right. And they've got, who's that there? T-Phrase spun around there coming out of the Diagon Alley into Hamburglar Pass. And now here comes Futang, who's going to challenge on the outside. He was going on the low line through the last 2 corners, and now he's going to do a little switchback here on Craytrim, bring it back to the inside, into the Tunnel of Love. They'll go side by side. 5th position up for grabs here on lap number 13. It's going to be Futang who has it for now, and he goes ahead and throws that left hand, that driver's side door out in front of Craytrim, slowing him up. Craytrim having hit the brakes, and now Futang 5th, Craytrim 6th, back there in 7th. That's going to be Odd Drex, who's closing in. The more these two battle it out, it's going to allow the Wu-Tang Clan car to close his gap going into turn number 1. Now exiting. Back behind, Magnolia. Chaos Fox up to 9th. Slow Motion Fire has returned to 10th position. Slipstream in 11th. Born as Ghost is 12th. And unfortunately, DOR Hocus has fallen back to 13th. Carbon in 14th after an incident. So Carbon now well back from the P2 spot that he was in at the beginning of this race. Fear the Fun is in 15th. Megachin in 16th. Viral Mist and Kuda are 17th and 18th. D-Fire in 19th. Modern Weapon, Grim, and T-Phrase are 20, 21, and 22. All 22 drivers still out on the track for this one. AMS Udakan now with about a, what is that, a 5 to 6 second lead over Corbin in 2nd. DTR Maverick there in 3rd. He's got quite a bit of separation between he and IPR Wolf as those two get through turn number 1. Foontang and Kratrium. This battle continues to wage on as we watched momentarily there from the front bumper of Audrex. Now into turn 1 here on lap number 14. MS Storm saying less typing, more crashing. Quite possibly talking to his teammate Udakan there, who's got the Pog Jam emote in our pit lane Twitch chat. Let's go to Slow Motion Fire in 10th position, challenging Chaos Fox here for 9th. And you see Slow Motion Fire's car all kinds of beat up. I don't think there's one side of that vehicle that doesn't have a scrape. Riding with Slow Motion Fire down what they've dubbed Hamburglar Pass. In the E corner, there goes Chaos Fox. Down on the low line and coming back up onto the curbing. That turn right there has the most amount of runoff space that you have to work with. However, you start venturing out into that territory, it takes you a long time to hook it back toward the tunnel. And now here they'll go through Handlebar, up over more sidewalked area, and then the raised curbing. MS Storm saying all it takes is a restart, and those guys a lap or 2 down from damage are right back in it. Very true, and while that would make things interesting, we love it when a race can go straight through without any problems. And speaking of problems, here goes Slow Motion Fire up into the tire wall with, what was that? Who was that? Slipstream, now dropping back. Getting all so close to the concrete barrier. They're trying to find every bit of room to catch up with their opponents out in front of them. Every tenth, every hundredth, every thousandth of a second can bring you that much closer to another position here, and that position being within the top 10. Slow Motion Fire right on the cusp of it. Back in 11th, Born as Ghost, Slipstream at 12th. Carbon has now moved up to 13th. Fear the Fun in 14th. Mega Chin 15th. Hocus all by himself coming across the back half of the track in 16th position. 17th Kuda, Viral Mist in 18th. And AMS Udakan, our race leader and season 33 champion, just out for a Sunday drive here at Prague. Corbin in second, DTR Maverick in third, IPR Wolf, who's got a couple of back markers out in front of him, he's riding in fourth. Foontang Kratrium and Audrex, our closest battle here of the top 10. Back up to Kratrium. Matt 661 saying that the reverse is less deathly than forward. They're all complicated to me. The Prague short track, there's even a shorter version, right? And then you've got the full circuit. I've never really felt comfortable out on this track. Never. Folks, if you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that follow button. Would be greatly appreciated. There goes Viral Mist up into the wall right out in front of Foontang. And there's about a 2 or 3 car length bit of separation there, but Foontang was probably weighing his contingency options there as he saw Viral Mist get up into the wall. It was almost the tire wall, which you just don't know how those cars will bounce off of that when they clip one of those tire walls. There's no good way to hit a tire wall here in Forza Motorsport 7. Down through the Hamburger Pass section into Church Eat. Not Eat, that's turn number 1, but Church Eat apparently. Now through the Tunnel of Love they go. Craytrim there in 6th. Audrex continues to just watch on there in that yellow and black Wu-Tang car. Wait to see if there will be a mistake here between Wu-Tang and Craytrim as they start to get closer to Viral Mist, who's in 18th and I believe 2 or 3 laps down at this point. MS Storm saying 100% the forward one with the chicane is so sketchy. Not so bad this way. I got you. When you're coming across the bridge and toward the tightened city portion, that left-hander chicane is scary. And then, of course, right through these bits, too. Back out onto the bridge. Let's go take a look at AMS Udacon's vehicle. We'll put the camera on our champion here for a little bit. Then we'll get back to where the action is. You can see there, 49% in the fuel tank. And just 10% at max there on the left front. As you can see there, that right-hand corner putting the weight there on the left front suspension and that wheel, hence the extra bit of tire degradation. As Udacon goes ahead and scrapes it along the barrier. Let's go back to Craytrim in 6th, dealing with Wu-Tang. There's Audrex, and now we see Chaos Fox, who is up to 8th, closing in. Good run here by Chaos Fox. If you remember back to our leaderboard, Chaos Fox jumped into the top 10 with 146 points back behind Slipstream, who has 168. So Chaos Fox may very well finish out in 10th position, but that's much better than the weeks prior. And even if you don't find yourself to be the most competitive racer here in Forza Motorsport 7, or you've never participated in a community event, no better time than to join in with the Forza Spec Racing Series. These folks, they consider themselves kind of beer league material, really, although you do have some drivers that you'll find in the upper echelon that will compete in some of those pro-organized events. But really, the code of conduct here is just race clean, keep the car pointed in the right direction, don't drive backwards, and mind the lap traffic if you happen to be one of the back markers, and then you'll be welcome back week after week, race after race, and they'll do it again. Season number 34, 5 weeks straight. Those dates to be announced, but as soon as we have that information, we'll have it posted up here down below at twitch.tv/virtual autosports, over on Twitter, which is at VTRL Autosports. And then also on our, well, actually over on the reddit.com/r/FM4 Reddit page is where they'll have those as soon as they're announced, and then, of course, I'll regurgitate. Craytrim still back there in 6th, waiting to see what Wu-Tang's going to do. The gap widening a little bit here to about 3, maybe 3.5 car lengths, and Audrex falling back some, which is interesting because Audrex is kind of all on his own. No lap cars, no back markers to deal with as of right now. Here they come up to Kuda. Kuda's wisely going to go ahead and pull off the throttle and let everybody by, or at least Craytrim, and now Audrex will have to try to find his way past, and it looks like, who was that we had spinning around? That's going to be Viral Mist, I think it was. Yes, it was Viral Mist. We got spun around, and fortunately, our 6th, 7th, and 8th place drivers able to get through without any incident. And wow, the train of cars is really stacking up here from 6th on back. Craytrim in 6th, Audrex in 7th, Chaos Fox in 8th, Slow Motion Fire now back up to 9th position in the No Coast Brewing Company car. Magnolia in 10th, Carbon in 11th, trying to make his way back up through the field. After having to make a pit stop, he was running as high as 2nd. Born as Ghost in 12th, Fear the Fun in 13th, Hocus in 14th, Slipstream in 15th position. Ghibli Jibs with the pun, saying that viral mist turned into viral tire smoke. We'll allow it. We'll allow it. It's a Tuesday, so we can have, we'll take whatever humor we can get. I hope you all are having a decent start to the week as we do what? The final, not even full week, the final week of April, heading into May. Comes Chaos Fox, who's going to line it up next to Kuda, one of the back markers coming out of the handlebar section, and now back across the line for the beginning of lap. This is going to be lap 24 here for Chaos Fox. Slow motion fire lurking there in the background in 8th. Let's go to Carbon now, who has broached the top 10 once again, and now fighting Magnolia here for 9th position. Magnolia, who is running in the Forza Spec Racing Series for the first time in season number 33. You see that orange number board. Same could be said there for Carbon. That doesn't necessarily mean that you're new to Forza Motorsport. It just means it's your first season here with the FM4 crew, and so you too, if you decide to race in season number 34, and it's your first appearance with these fine folks and ladies and gentlemen, then you'll be sporting an orange number board. Corbin is dead, said AMS Udakan, as Corbin has, what has happened to Corbin? Yeah, it's DTR Maverick now in 2nd, IPR Wolf in 3rd, Funtang, Kratrium, Audrex, Chaos Fox, Slow Motion Fire, Carbon, and Magnolia are the top 10. Born as Ghost in 11th. Hocus now moves up to 12th. Slipstream, Fear the Fun, Corbin back to 15th position. And that's what happens with drivers who, Corbin, who was all the way up in 2nd position, but really was not being challenged by anybody or challenging first. So we didn't have a camera on him, and now falls back to 15th. However, if everybody has to make a pit stop in this race, this may not be the worst thing for SGR Corbin. So we'll see what the rest of the race brings here as we are approaching the halfway mark here in this 69-lap race out at the Prague Short Circuit. Let's go back up to AMS Udakan, and as I mentioned it, let's take a look here at the tire and fuel situation. 32% fuel. So yes, all the drivers will have to stop at least once. If you've already stopped once as a result of contact with barrier, well, or crash, whatever it was that necessitated that stop, you got to hope for a clean race all the way through to the end, because if you've already taken your lap, then make that just be your one. Now, the question is, those who had to make a stop earlier, will they have enough fuel to make it to the end? Some had to go in extremely early, and that could actually require them to make a second stop. Funtang in 4th, Kratrium in 5th. Let's go to Kratrium, and what a run that Funtang is having. This is quite possibly the best race that we've seen Funtang race all season. Race number 9. The 9th and final race here in week number 5. 2 races each evening, with the exception of this 5th and final week, where they make the 9th race, the grand finale, an endurance event of sorts. And Kratrium still hanging out with Funtang there. Those two have not swapped position for at least the last, I don't know, 10, 15 laps. Audrex still back there in 6th and is falling off the pace. He's got Chaos Fox, who is approaching there in 7th, and now here comes Kratrium. who may decide at this point, all right, I've seen the back of your NVIDIA Solstice for far too long. I'm going to go ahead and make a run, and he's going to go the outside line with the Swordfish Motorsport car. Now back onto the back bumper there of Funteng as they approach the Tunnel of Love. Back through as the 2.0 Ecotech Turbo inline 4 motor reverberates here off the tunnels and the archway walls. And here comes Craytrim now to the inside line with Funteng on the outside. So these two swapping driving lines, and Craytrim, who didn't have it lined up, didn't have it set up quite right, going into the back half there of what they've named the Yeet Corner, had to yield to Funteng, and so Funteng will hold on to fourth, at least for now, as they go into Hamburglar Pass. And with that, Audrex able to catch up a little bit more. Chaos Fox 7th, Carbon in 8th now, Slow Motion Fire in 10th, or excuse me, 9th, and Magnolia in 10th. Fork-tailed Fox saying this Solstice Cup is more entertaining than sports. Well, let's not get too carried away. No, it actually has been a spectacular season. It seems like every season, and I don't mean to make this statement become too cliche, but every time, every new season that we begin, it seems like we get a whole new, not a whole new, we get new names, new faces who show up and perform exceptionally well, challenge those who may have been favored drivers in the past. And so, I don't know, all the way back to season 25 or 26 where I started broadcasting these events for the Forza Spec Racing Series, they've just gotten progressively better, stiffer competition, more exciting. The races have been a lot closer. And so I can't wait to see what AMS Unicon has selected, or at least is thinking about, in terms of the vehicle for season 34. And now Corvid. You see they're getting into the mix after dropping back a lap due to a pit stop. Corvid trying to reclaim a lap with some of the lead lap traffic there, and then of course as everybody else goes into pit lane, Corbin will hope to make up a few more spots. And this is one of those weird situations where somebody is in 15th position out of 22 cars, and they're hanging out here with drivers who are in the top 5, top 6, top 10, and it's actually those drivers who are from 5th on back to 10th who are yielding to the 15th place car, because it's Corbett who's like, all right, I should be further up there. Let me sneak my way back up to the top, and then of course he'll have to go back around a lap. But we'll make that up as these top drivers, lead lap cars, go into pit lane for a full tank of fuel. Let's go up to third position here with IPR Wolf. IPR Wolf not contending for P2, which is occupied by DTR Maverick at the moment. And let's see here, Jamie Caroline with the raid. Thank you very much. Welcome those of you who are watching Jamie Caroline do whatever he or she was doing. Not entirely sure, but great to have you all tuned in to Virtual Auto Sports as we wrap things up. We put the capstone on season number 33 of the Forza Spec Racing Series in Forza Motorsport 7 out here at the Prague Short Circuit in reverse, a fantasy track, the only fantasy track that they've raced here in season number 33. Season 34 will get kicked off here in a few weeks. You can catch up all the details, or catch up with all the details and everything that you'll need to know about participating in the upcoming season over at reddit.com/r/fm4. Here comes IPR Wolf now with D-Fire out in front of him, trying to cut through, wade through the lap traffic vehicles. AMS Udakan, our season 33 champion. He's going to be crowned no matter what happens here in this 9th and final race. Out there in front, leading the slew of 22 cars around the track. IPR Wolf in 3rd, Foontang in 4th, Cratrium in 5th, Audrex in 6th, Carbon TI in 7th. Let's go to LSEM Chaos Fox, who is in 8th and right there on the back of Carbon's car. Zagazeta, 8, saying, hey guys, hello, good evening, or morning, or afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to the broadcast. Jamie Caroline says, you're welcome, bud, we should race sometime. I race British GT in the UK. Follow my Instagram, Jamie Caroline 007. Jamie, thank you so much again for the host, or the raid, but then also for jumping into the pit lane, as we call it here on the channel, and letting me know who you are. I do apologize, and great to have one of our British GT drivers in the real world hanging out with us here this evening. And yes, absolutely, hop on over there to Twitter or Instagram, Jamie Caroline 007. Give him a follow. And then, of course, Jamie Caroline, always welcome to hang out with us here on the channel, on the broadcast, and then perhaps if you'd like to race here in Forza Motorsport 7. I don't know if you, all the esports, I tell you, one of the most amazing things that has come out of this social distancing environment that we live in is what has happened, the ballooning of the esports world, particularly with the racing genre, has been just spectacular. Of course, esports has just benefited as a whole. When you talk about social distancing, there's nothing that gamers are more familiar with than playing online and having friends that are either hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from them. And the fact that we're able to do some racing when racing is currently non-existent in the real world is a beautiful thing, at least to provide the entertainment, the excitement, and at least that little bit of thrill that we would have normally experienced on those race days, watching it on television or being out there at the track. Certainly nothing can account for that. There's nothing that we can do to replicate that experience here in the virtual world, but when there's the lack thereof or complete absence of real world racing, esports has done a phenomenal job of jumping in and supplementing that need, or actually fulfilling that need. And here comes Carbon right there on the back of the Pontiac Solstice GXP, 265 horsepower with an equal amount of foot-pounds of torque, 2,882 pounds curb weight. And here they go side by side. Carbon's going to take the inside line around Futang, and just like that, Carbon, who was in second position as far back as 14th, has now moved back up to 5th and is looking to take down Cratrium for 4th position as they come out of the final handlebar corner across the bridge toward the start-finish line for the beginning of lap number 35 actually. Back out of turn number 1, into the chicanes, up over the curving. Look at this nice little grouping of cars, 4th back to 7th, and even more there behind Audrex is 8th of LSM Chaos Fox, and then Slow Motion Fire is lurking back there in 10th. If there were to be some sort of incident here, don't put it past Slow Motion Fire to grab a couple of spots. And now here they'll go side by side once again with Carbon, this time on Cratrium. Last time through it was on Futang, and now with that, Carbon has grabbed himself 4th position. And let's take a look at the tire and fuel situation for Carbon. Unfortunately, because he had to stop so early in this race, he'll have to stop again. 18% in the fuel tank here on lap number 36. AMS Storm telling us that we should start seeing some pit stops in the next 5 laps. Zagazeta with the follow. Jamie Caroline also with the follow in addition to the host or the raid. And Jack Leonard Jack Leonard 12 with the follow. Thank you all very much for that support. Welcome to Virtual Auto Sports here, live on Twitch TV with the Forza Spec Racing Series Season number 33 finale. There goes Carbon around one of the back markers as they cross over the river and on the bridge toward the big right-hander here at the fantasy track of Prague. Carbon, who's made 2 passes over the last 2 laps, has nobody to take down this time through, and we'll go ahead and go into the Tunnel of Love solo into handlebar. One of the back markers now up ahead. Actually, that's not a back marker. That's 3rd position of DTR Maverick. So Carbon is on some sort of tear right here and closing in quickly on Maverick. Here he comes across the line, beginning of lap number 37. And there's even another vehicle. That's IPR Wolf who's in the pit lane. And so just like that, Carbon is now up to 3rd. DTR Maverick in 2nd position. AMS Udakan will remain our leader. He's coming up toward the start-finish line, and let's see if Udakan opts for a pit stop. He is not. Actually, he is. He's going to... AI takes over right there at pit entry and slows the car down immediately. So you can go from 150 down to 20 miles an hour in a split second. And so a fresh set of tires, although the tires weren't the concern. It's that fuel, full tank of fuel that our drivers will receive. And now here comes Carbon and DTR Maverick in 2nd and 3rd, starting to return back toward the start-finish line, where they'll gradually, well, actually they're not going to, because AMS Udakan already pulling out of pit lane into turn number 1 and heading toward the chicanes. AMS Udakan saying 2.5 was left in his fuel tank when he went into pit lane. Cutting it very, very close on this 1.82 mile Prague short reverse. So we'll hang out here with Carbon TI, who is trying to do damn near the impossible, going from 2nd, where he qualified on row number 1 for the start of this race, then had some sort of incident earlier on which put him back to 14th, and now has climbed the ranks all the way back into 3rd, and now here in short order we'll be battling it out with DTR Maverick for 2nd. Our drivers laying it out all on the line here, because with AMS Udakan locking up the championship spot, everybody else is just vying for a position somewhere else on the leaderboard. And so what do you have to lose but just gun it and run it? And that's exactly what Carbon's going to do here on the front straightaway. Thanos straight as they go across the line. He and DTR Maverick, and just like that, Carbon now finds himself up into 2nd position, and they're about 10 to 12 seconds behind our race leader. Can Carbon catch up here on the latter half of this 69-lap race? Fourth position is IPR Wolf, Craytrim in 5th. 6th is Audrex. 7th is Foontang. 8th is Chaos Fox, Slow Motion Fire in 9th. Magnolia in 10th. Slipstream in 11th. 12th is Born as Ghost. Fear the Fawn in 13th. Corbin in 14th. Hocus in 15th. Then it's Kuda, Viral Mist, Modern Weapon, Mega Chin, D-Fire, and Grim with T-Phrase in 22nd. And T-Phrase is actually parked there on the corner of handlebar, and if there's no movement of the joysticks there, eventually we'll get VC'd from the lobby here. There goes Hocus now across the line, one of our back markers in 15th position, and the vehicle that we spotlighted here at the beginning of our broadcast. Looks like we've got our frames back. Maybe, maybe not. We do. And that might have been T-Phrase coming out of the lobby, but DOR Hocus, whose livery we showed off earlier, driving the Pontiac Solstice GXP for the Children's of Alabama Hospital. More information, go to childrensal.org. As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast there, since 1911, providing pediatric care to the children of Alabama and surrounding communities. And it can't be said enough. There's no amount of thanks that would fulfill what's due to the healthcare profession and all its workers for doing what they're doing here, not only during the pandemic, but even in the times where, you know, we weren't living in this very strange world, ensuring the best of care and well-being for the youngest of society. Kids who are inflicted with any number of diseases, getting the care and treatments that they need to hopefully see themselves to a speedy recovery. And for anybody who's watching us there with the Children's of Alabama Hospital, thank you so much for tuning in. Virtual Auto Sports here on Twitch TV. And for those, again, those doctors, those nurses, any of the healthcare professionals, thank you for all that you do, not only now, but all the time. So a little bit of an update there after we had our black screen of death. It actually seems to be more troublesome than what I suspected. AMS Uticon remains our leader, but DTR Maverick is now up to second. IPR Wolf in third. Carbon is in fourth. And so while we had that black screen, it appears that Carbon made a pit stop to fill up the fuel tank and is now sitting at 96%. So should be good for the rest of the race. Hoping that there's no incident that requires a third stop. Back there on the back bumper of IPR Wolf, trying to reclaim that spot, and then he'll have to really make a push to catch back up with DTR Maverick, who's there in second. In fifth, it's Cratrium. Audrex in sixth, Food Tank in seventh, Chaos Fox, Slow Motion Fire, and Magnolia make up 8, 9, and 10. Riding on the front bumper here of Carbon. And IPR Wolf probably thinking, man, haven't I seen you before? Either IMD or LMD 156619 saying, hello, how is your day? It's good. It is a good day. I hope yours is quite well itself, and if it wasn't, maybe we're providing a little bit more entertainment and happiness here for you, and roll into Hump Day, Wednesday, hoping for bigger and better things. Thank you very much for that follow as well. And now there goes Carbon to the inside through Churchy, back up toward the Tunnel of Love here on lap number 44. And he's made it at least 3 passes that we've seen in that very corner. Quite possibly more when we were not looking. And look at that, Fear the Fun, who's trying to make his way back up through the field after what has to be multiple incidents to put him as far back as he is. Fear the Fun, although not in contention for any of the 3 spots that are available here with the cars out in front of him, definitely wanting to regain ground and get back out onto the lead lap. So he'll be pushing hard, and the guys in front of him can't expect him to be laying down, because Fear the Fun, if there's one thing we've known, one thing that we've gleaned from him as a driver, is that the dude is just full bore, no matter what. Burning through fuel like none other out there on the track. Across the bridge, Carbon and IPR Wolf, and now IPR Wolf is maybe thinking about grabbing third position back and to go to the inside low line here. And Carbon goes ahead and cuts it off as they head into the tunnel again. Uticon on the opposite end of second place here out at the Prague short track in reverse. So Udakan is just kind of on almost on a walk around the bases. If baseball were a thing these days, man, somebody had mentioned how this is better than sports, but oh, how I love a little bit of baseball this time of year, or how much I miss it. And would love to have it back, but eventually, in due time. MS Udakan actually getting very, very close to lapping everyone on the circuit. Buddy. Let's go now that Carbon has put IPR Wolf in his rearview mirror, and now Kraytrim's going to do that very same thing coming out of the handlebar and across the bridge. Kraytrim has reclaimed fourth position. Probably wondering, where's Funtang in this picture? He's in sixth, and he'll have to step it up here to catch up to third, fourth, and fifth. The Pontiac Solstice GXP's just looking ragged out here at Prague. If these bumpers could fall off, I'm sure we would have more than a few of them littered around the track. It's just been one of those elbows out kind of races, and then even when it's not you and another driver getting at it, it's you and the concrete walls, the guardrails, any of these barriers out here. It's just a brutal event. Go up over the bridge once again. Beginning lap number 47 here. And AMS Udakan, you see the number 1 blip there approaching that blue arrow, and that indicates that lap number 48 has just begun, even though those drivers in third, fourth, and fifth have just started lap number 47. That's what I meant by Udakan getting very close to having everyone down a lap. We're going to have to nerf him in season number 34. Bear Den 1234 saying, "Yo, what did I miss? Just about everything, Bear Den." I don't know when you departed, but thank you so much for tuning in here to the broadcast. Great to have you along this evening, and we've got a little Forza Spec Racing Series season number 33 finale happening before you. I'm Dustin Moore behind the mic, as always, here on a Tuesday evening. 8 p.m. Eastern is when the Forza Spec Racing Series events get kicked off on those Tuesdays. They'll take a couple of weeks off, and in the interim, we'll be a better Forzatographer. For those of you that are Forzatography fans, not only here in the world of Forza Motorsport 7, but then over in Forza Horizon 4, over the next few weeks, we'll have those streams a little bit more mellow, a little bit more chill, as I go in there and take some photos in the virtual world of these cars and their environments. We'll have that a week from tonight, twitch.tv virtual autosports. Let's go ahead and move over to, we've got a little bit more competition in fifth. No, let's go to seventh with Audrex, who's got Funtang in sixth position. Wu-Tang Clan car versus the NVIDIA vehicle. Audrex not usually in Wu-Tang garb, but opted for that here in season number 33. We first saw it, of course, back on race number 1 out at the, drawing a blank on the name of the track, the Yas Marina South Circuit, which was a barn burner of a race to get this season kicked off. We could have not started season 33 in any more exciting fashion than we did with race number 1. Followed that up in race number 2 at the Le Mans Bugatti circuit. And though we're missing a few of the racers who were there for those first couple of weeks, we've had other names jump in and pick up right where some left off. So even if you're not in the running for the championship, just showing up and giving some of these drivers a run for their money, so to speak, is always a welcome sight. But now with season 34 looming on the horizon, they'll wipe the championship point slate clean, start anew, and you can compete. And even if you can't make week number 1, whenever that will be announced, if you race in week number 2, you'll still be in the running of the championship, because they'll take your top 4 weeks out of 5 total. Top 4 weeks in terms of points, drop the 5th lowest one. That'll count towards your championship point total. Win the championship, you get bragging rights, but then also you get to pick the car for the subsequent season, much like AMS Udacon's going to end up doing here coming out of season number 33. And we've got a car that's spun around here on the Hamburglar Pass over the bridge, and there goes AMS Udacon, who is putting Audrex a lap down. So now only 1st through 6th are on the lead lap. What a clinic. Let's go to Funtang, who now has IPR Wolf going into handlebar. Yes, Udacon is still dominating. That has not changed. Well, that was fun, says T-Phrase. T-Phrase, who was in there in the race, was going to maybe see how well he could do in this one, and then opted out of it after what inevitably and surely was the result of a couple of incidents out on track. And now here comes AMS Udacon trying to get around D-Fire without any incident. Able to do so pretty cleanly there, as Funtang and IPR Wolf are trying to keep out of the sights of Udacon. I just don't know that that's going to be possible here, with 19 laps to go for these guys, just 18 for Udacon. Really the story of the evening right now. Carbon TI qualified in 2nd position for this race, so he was up there on row number 1 opposite of AMS Udacon for the start. Was running up there for quite some time, then had an incident which put him into pit lane early. Now he's got 70% fuel in the tank. He's good, because he had to make another stop, and now is just dominating the run for the podium, and very well could be up to 2nd position by the end of this race. He's got DTR Maverick not more than 2 or 3 seconds out ahead of him. And so I would call that a win if Carbon's able to finish where he started this race, because it wasn't looking like that about 20 laps ago. And then Carbon TI will most certainly be a name that we'll be looking out for in season number 34. Carbon leapfrogging SGR Corbin on the leaderboard coming out of week number 4, and leading Corbin by just 1 point. That was Viral Mist putting his GXP up onto the wall, allowing Carbon to get through. Carbon now has open air in front of him to make a run at Maverick, who you can kind of make out the gamer tag as the camera peers into these corners, and then you see the white back bumper there of Maverick's car on some of these shots. Now into handlebar they'll go. A little left, or excuse me, a little right, then a left. Back up to the line for the beginning of lap 54. We got more racing coming at you here on Virtual Autosports. Later on this week, Forza Friday, coming up on Friday, where I'll be at the helm of the controller, the sticks, and trying to set my quickest lap time in the Forza Racing Championships Legendary Lap. Now, don't get it twisted. You're not going to find me in any special category there as far as top 10, top 20, top 50. No, I'm a ways back. I know my limits, and so the Forza Friday from my perspective is more for entertainment purposes than for an opportunity to see a top-tier driver at work. Nope, that's not what my broadcast will be about on Fridays. Instead, again, it's getting my perspective, seeing how I learn the track, the car track combinations based off of some Forza Racing Championships most historic or notable events and the drivers with their vehicles and the tracks that they raced at a season ago. The Forza Racing Championship spring season was supposed to take place before, obviously, COVID-19 flipped everything on its head, flipped the world on its head, and had everything getting canceled or postponed. And so we'll see if we get a fall version of the Forza Racing Championship, or if they'll just hold out for Forza Motorsport 8 or whatever the next motorsport title will be. And just like that, Carbon TI has made a move through the Tunnel of Love there with DTR Maverick. Making moves in the Tunnel of Love is Carbon. I didn't come up with the names. The Forza Spec Racing folks, they created the names, and across the line now goes Carbon. And so, I don't know. Can he get around the track? He's going to have to go one full lap to catch back up with MS Udakan. That's hard to fathom. But I guess at this point, anything is possible. T-Phrase says, I wasn't going to DC, but I got hungry. That's a good excuse to disconnect, I guess. The race isn't going your way. You decide, hey, let me pull off to the side so that I don't ruin it for anybody else. And oh yeah, and by the way, my stomach is growling, so let me go ahead and cure that. As we go back, we're watching Carbon get through the Tunnel of Love section where he made the pass on DTR Maverick a lap ago. Deja vu here. Can we call that Carbon corner with the amount of passes that were going into time? Might as well. I think so. I think we have to officially rename that corner. We have seen at least 4 passes by Carbon into that section of the track in this race, and that doesn't include any of the times where we didn't have the camera on him. So MS Udakan is now a lap ahead of the drivers from 5th on back. So Futang, as great a race as he's having, finds himself a lap down from our leader. It is only Maverick, Carbon, and Cratrim who are currently saved and on the lead lap, although Cratrim is now at risk of falling a lap down with MS Udakan on his heels. Futang in 5th, Audrex in 6th. Soma Should Fire, who's had just an abysmal season number 33, up there in 7th, has really turned things around and making it look good here, at least for the finale. IPR Wolf in 8th, Chaos Fox in 9th, Magnolia in 10th, Born as Ghost is 11th, Hocus in 12th, 13th is Slipstream, Corbett in 14th, Fear the Fun in 15th, who had a chance to have a great race earlier. Seems like he's been stuck in 15th forever. Viral Mist in 16th, Modern Weapon in 17th, Mega Chin is 18th, Kuda, D-Fire, Grim are 19th through 21st. T-Phrase, the only one who's bowed out of this race and did so voluntarily. Let's go to 7th with Slow Motion Fire, who's actually not only just in 7th, but is now competing for 6th with Audrex. Let's go ahead and run on board with the No Coast Brewing car as Slow motion fire goes on the inside. Down the back straightaway. They'll go toward the church corner. And after making this pass here on odd tracks, he sees Fu-Tang out ahead of him. Yes, and I like Carbon Corner with the corner as K. It's very reminiscent of the Mortal Kombat franchise, but it makes perfect sense. Carbon with a K, corner with a K, Carbon Corner. I like it. And so now, slow motion fire. Look at this run. He's making it Fu-Tang, that NVIDIA car, getting close quickly as Fu-Tang gets around Kuda. Slow will have to do the same and probably make it happen here on the Hamburglar Pass up over the bridge. Good work. Good work Slow, and there goes Fear the Fun, who is just not having fun in this race. He's fearing the antithesis of fun. Folks, if you're enjoying the content, please click that follow button. Would be greatly appreciated. Then we'll welcome you back here to Virtual Autosport for any of our other future broadcasts. You get 3 a week here on the channel. Forza Spec Racing Series / the Forzatography, Be a Better Forzatographer broadcast on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live on Friday with Forza Friday. And then on Sunday, 3050 track day experience. Forza Motorsport 7 like you've never seen it raced before. I promise you that. Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll be with that here this coming Sunday. And if you're interested in participating, make sure you head on over to the Virtual Autosports Discord. And if you're thinking, well, I don't want to participate because I don't want to have to prepare. Guess what? You can run in 3050 with no preparation whatsoever. As a matter of fact, nobody prepares for that race. Because you can't. You show up on Sunday without knowing what vehicle you're going to be racing in. It's that kind of gig. Just think of it like this. Think of 3050 like this. You go to a track on track days, and let's just say you're wandering around the garage paddock area, and one of the teams goes, hey, our driver is not feeling so hot today, or is a no-show. We've got this car for you. You want to drive it? It may not be the car that's most competitive, or maybe it is, but it's the car that you have been given, and what options do you have to say but yes? And so on 3050, on Sundays, you randomly select your car from a list of eligible vehicles on a game show style board. And we have a lot of fun with 30 minutes of qualifying with tuning and testing involved in that. And then you get out there for a 50-mile race in that randomly selected vehicle. It's a whole heck of a lot of fun. We had trophy trucks this past Sunday. We had Rise of the Supercar Division the Sunday before that. And over on my Twitter, you can actually vote on the division that's going to be eligible for this coming Sunday. It's either going to be hot hatches, which I can't remember if it's the Genesis or the Modern, or I can't remember which one it is. Actually, it's hot hatch icons. That's what it is. Hot hatch icons or classic street muscle. As we see Modern Weapon there on the back of Craytrim's car. A little bit of bump in there. Let's go back to Slow Motion Fire, who's still back behind Fu-Tang here and actually has another back marker in front of him. As we get that black screen again, unfortunately, this usually is an indication that we are losing somebody out on the track. Running through our field, AMS Unicon still our leader, Carbon up to second, Maverick in third, so we have not lost anybody in the top three. Then it's Craytrim in fourth, Fu-Tang in fifth, Slow Motion Fire in sixth, Audrex, IPR Wolf, Chaos Fox, Magnolia, and as I look at the ticker above, that'll give us Fear the Fun, who has probably volunteered himself to depart this race. As a matter of fact, telling us they're in the pit lane saying too much crash. AMS Storm saying, hoping for those hot hatches. I do like front-wheel drive. Well, AMS Storm, you got to get your friends to vote over there on the Twitter poll. Right now, it's the Classic Street Muscle that is leading that poll. Not by much, but is leading that poll, and I think the poll will come to an end either late Thursday or early Friday. So if you've already voted, tell your friends, let them know which vehicle division you're hoping for, and they can vote even if they're not participants. So you can rally the troops to get the division that you're hoping for, and then come Sunday, hopefully you get yourself the vehicle that you're looking to drive based on that eligible list of cars. And now here comes Funtang through the tunnel with slow motion fire back behind him. He's got Mega Chin wedged in between there in 17th position on lap number 65 of 69. That 70th lap will be a cool down lap. And we'll see what they do here. I think after AMS Storm crosses or AMS Uticon crosses the line, that might be the end of the race. We'll obviously be able to tell pretty quickly, judging by the attitude of the vehicles, if they're slowing down. Here comes Modern Weapon now trying to make a move on Mega Chin for 16th position, assuming those two cars are on the same lap, as Funtang now starts to wave off slow motion fire back there in 6th. Let's go to Audrex in 8th. Civic Element saying, I want to see some muscle cars sliding around and slamming doors. I could go for either division, to be honest. This is one of those polls where I'm indifferent, and whichever one wins out, I'm okay with. I'll be good with it. It won't hurt my feelings one way or the other with which one gets selected. And looking forward to seeing what everybody can do with those vehicles. We haven't had, in 3050's storied history, most of the races are made up of divisions that have a good chunk of vehicles to choose from that are eligible. And then in addition to that, some really oddball specifications that you need to make your vehicle eligible, or make sure that your vehicle is within those specifications. I'm hoping that we'll get back to that here this Sunday. So just to kind of give you a teaser of what to expect, as opposed to our Rise of the Supercar and our Trophy Truck divisions that didn't give us a lot of room to play around with, I suspect this Sunday is going to be a lot more demanding of our drivers with regards to setting the vehicle up. Fork-tailed Fox saying a Spec Cup where the cars are limited to a minimum of 4,500 pounds. That's pretty much every vehicle, right? Hey, there's a lot of cars. There's 700 plus vehicles in Forza Motorsport 7, so surely there's a few that do exceed that 4,500 pound limit, but that would be interesting. Although for 3050 we don't do specified builds. We always leave it up because that's the fun of 3050. That's the allure of that series, is to really there's not really a leg up for any one driver in their knowledge or their expertise. Obviously the fast drivers are going to be fast. You could put them in anything and they'll find a way to get up to the front of the pack. But really what the challenge of 3050 is getting that vehicle, and it could be any assortment of it's going to be any assortment of vehicles that are eligible for that event, but then which one do you select? And then with regards to those upgrade specifications, those parameters for the race, how much room will you have to be able to maneuver within that? Is your car, the one that you select, kind of butted up against that threshold, or do you have a lot to play around with? Will we permit things like aspiration beyond natural aspiration? Will we permit any sort of configuration with regards to driveline? There's just so many variables that, again, hopefully, and I suspect we will get to this coming Sunday, as opposed to the previous 2 Sundays with the return of 3050. And back to the action here in the final race of Season 33 in the Forza Spec Racing Series. The last time that we'll see these Pontiac GXPs, probably ever, because I don't know that we'll have these cars come up in any other community event that we host or broadcast for. And so it might be the final time that we've seen this brand and this make and model, making a model that doesn't exist any longer in the real world, except for those remaining few. Back when Pontiac went defunct in 2010 following General Motors government bailout coming out of the recession. And so AMS Unicon now on the final lap, I would say leading the pack of cars around the track, but is really doing so solo, because the only other driver who is on the lead lap with him, or is about to be on the lead lap, is Carbon, and that's only because Carbon's about to cross the start-finish line for the white flag, while AMS Unicon 10 seconds later will come across the line with the checkered flag. And we're sitting here with Cratrium in fourth and Maverick in third. That's going to be our closest battle in the top five. And they have a back marker of Corvette out in front of them. And across the line goes Unicon for the win. Make that 8 wins out of the 9 races here in Season 33. And with that, they will go ahead and have the drivers just finish out where they stand on the track. Season 33 now officially over and awaiting the official points tally that'll happen after the broadcast. AMS Storm saying restart. Actually, that was quite impressive. We had nobody disconnect because of connection issues. It was all voluntarily done by our drivers who weren't having a good run out there on the track, and then we didn't have to restart either because we didn't have any disconnects. So what a way to finish out what had been a superb Season 33 here in the Pontiac GXP Solstice. I'm going to go ahead and take note of where everybody finished. I'm going to run some ads for those of you who are subscribers. Thank you for your above and beyond contribution. You won't see any ads, but nobody's going to miss anything. We'll be right back talking to some of our drivers, get their thoughts, their last impressions here of Season 33 before we go into the off season and get ready for season number 34. This is Virtual Autosports here live on Twitch TV. I'm Dustin Moore. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be right back with our driver spotlight interviews after this commercial break. And again, for those of you not receiving ads, either because you're in a region where they just don't have any ads to run for you, or you're one of our subscribers here of the Virtual Autosports broadcast, thanks for hanging out with us here throughout the evening. In the next minute and a half or so, we'll get back to the live broadcast with some of our drivers hopping into the driver's spotlight to have a word with us, which is always a great time an excellent opportunity for you all to kind of hear from them what their impressions were of the race, how they thought they performed here in season 33, and what they're maybe looking forward to in season 34. Matt 6661 saying solid run, but Carbon, that was something special. Carbon definitely getting the performance of the evening. He finished where he started, yes, which on paper doesn't look spectacular, but if you then shift it over to the box score, so to speak, the number of passes that he had to make to come back up through the grid after incidents earlier on really made it an excellent showing on his part. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Virtual Auto Sports here live on Twitch TV. As that's it, season 33. It's in the books. It's done and over with as the Prague 69 lapper has come to an end. And just like that, my Forza Motorsport 7 has actually crashed. So fortunately, we made it all the way throughout the race without any incident, and it happens right here at the end. So no big deal there, but we'll turn over to our driver's spotlight, see who we have in there. IPR Wolf joins me, and IPR Wolf, you guys there from 4th on back to 7th, maybe even 8th. You guys had a great battle. You find yourself finishing in, let's see, this is going to be 5, 6, 7, 8th position behind Audrex and in front of LSEM Chaos Fox. You pretty happy with the way things ended here, race number 9 of season 33.
Yeah, absolutely. Initially I was going for top 5, but you know, we have some really quick drivers in here, so eventually that wasn't going to last very long. So next goal after I ended up running wide a bit was just try to keep in top 10, and yeah.
Keeping in the top 10, you did. You mentioned that you were going for top 5. A lot of fast drivers out here with which, yes, we'll vouch for you on that one. There's a lot of fast drivers, very competitive drivers out here on the track for the finale. The finale that really didn't mean anything as far as the championship was going, but nonetheless, we had a great showing. That being said, 22 drivers on the Prague short circuit can make things pretty chaotic. As we saw, there was only but 2 drivers on the lead lap. Was your finishing position as a result of some of that traffic and because of some incidents, or were you pretty clean all throughout?
I'd say I've kept out of trouble pretty decently. I mean, as stated before, the reason why I dropped back from 5th was because I ended up pushing the car a bit too much, and it ended up running wide at Yeet. But
Yep.
for the most part, it it wasn't necessarily the incidents on the track as much as it was just me overstepping what I thought I could do a little bit.
Talking with IPR Wolf here in the driver's spotlight following the conclusion of the season 33 finale. You mentioned the Yeet Corner here at the Prague Short. The Forza Spec Racing folks all coming up with their own names for the corners and submitting that in and saying, hey, Dustin, this is what we're going to call them. Did you have any contribution to any one of those corners, or are you just kind of playing along?
I didn't even realize that the people were naming corners, so
With these fantasy tracks, they got to do something to make it interesting for me, because otherwise it would be like, oh, here they go into turn number 2, and there's turn 3, and up to 5 they go, and it's like, oh, okay, that gets a little boring sometimes. So no, you didn't know. That's no biggie. Overall, all said and done, and I think we talked with you a couple times, maybe earlier on in the season. Your impression with the Pontiac Solstice GXP, are you impressed, or is this another one of those cars that it looks onward and upward to bigger and better things?
it for the most part, trying to find words here. I apologize,
That's
but
okay.
biggest thing I will point out, because it's just a mildly upgraded transmission, that second to third transition is horrendously long, which means that we had to kind of try and tune that out
Hmm.
of most of most of the tracks, so that we were pretty much the lowest gear we were hitting were it was third and up.
Hmm.
So
Interesting, very interesting. I love hearing those insights because I couldn't provide that any at all during the broadcast. Those are the things that you all the drivers have those expertise. That's always very curious to know. And as I take a look at the leaderboard entering week number 5 here, the final week of the season, you were in 8th position, out in front of behind Fear the Fun by just 1 point. Fear the Fun backed out of this race after having just a terrible time out there at the track. The one driver who you could have used or could have benefited from beating here tonight would have been Odd Drex. It looks like you'll be right behind him on the leaderboard in 7th place. When we started the season, would you have deemed that success? Are you seeing this as a successful season for you?
oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, generally shoot for top 10. So as long as I'm within that range, I'm usually pretty happy with it.
Top 10 in the race, top 10 on the leaderboard when it's all said and done here in season 33, making it
All about
happen
10.
is IPR Wolf. IPR Wolf, any shout outs or any last remarks before we go on over to the next driver?
Well done, Aldrex. That was a really great cutback. Really close at the end. Was a blast those final couple laps or so. I think it was like 6 or 7. Either way, great racing with you.
Giving kudos to Audrex. We always love that kind of sportsmanship there as our drivers kind of reflect on maybe some of those great challenges they have, and maybe next season IPR Wolf will be able to take down Audrex there on the leaderboard. Before we go to LSM Chaos Fox, Matt 6661, thank you very much for the Tier 1 subscription to AMS Storm, and that'll be 5 months there for AMS Storm as a subscriber here to the channel. And now LSCM Chaos Fox, we go to you. You finished right behind IPR Wolf, I believe in 9th position, if my record keeping is accurate here, out in front of Magnolia. You also one of those drivers that got caught up in that fantastic battle from 4th all the way back to 8th, maybe even at times 9th and 10th. Are you satisfied with your showing here at Prague today?
For the most part, yes. I had a really good battle going on with Slow. I was holding him off after my pit stop, not even a complete lap after my pit stop. Uh, I goofed and coming off the section from the bridge, I shifted down into 4th too quickly, and it gave me just a bit of engine damage, and that held me back for the rest of the race. Like I was able to hold Slow back, but I went wide. Some odd laps later, he was able to get by. I could not catch him, and I could catch up to them under the braking zones, but power wise, they were just that engine damage was keeping me from able to really reel them back in. So I was just kind of in no man's land in 9th place after that.
And was that image damage after you had already made a pit stop, and so you weren't able to get it repaired, or was that early on, and then you had to kind of wait to get into pit lane to get it patched up?
Oh no, that was like my main pit stop. I just did my pit stop and
Oh
I
no.
and I hurt the car.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you kidding me? The gear ratios in this car, I mean, we can adjust the final drive, but the fact that we can't adjust the gears themselves, the gearing is really wonky in this car. And when you get so used to making close ratio gearboxes like I do,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of downshift a lot, and it's just second nature, and you try to do it with this car, you forget, yep, you hurt the car. So old habits die hard. I think if I didn't hurt the car there, I probably would have reeled Slow back in, and you probably would have saw uh, much more of a fight after he got by me. But that was a really good battle with Slow. He put up a really, really good race with me. It's a shame I couldn't reel him back in, but that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, talking with LSCM Chaos Fox, mentioning Slow Motion Fire, who we might get here in the driver's spotlight a little bit later, having a great run himself. and Chaos Fox just not able to catch back up. Your mentioning of the shifting situation or the gear ratios very much in line with IPR Wolf there. So that's not surprising. And unfortunately, after 9 races, still you have that tendency to shift down quickly and doing damage to the vehicle there. That being said, the damage to the vehicle, that's pretty defeating when you do it yourself, and self-imposed issues with regards to the race. But then also you're doing so well, you're there in the top 10, but then you find yourself a lap down from the leader. How do you explain just the quickness of AMS Udakan, who puts a lap on everybody except for the driver who finished second, which was Carbon?
I really don't know how he does it. There was just some sections where I think I'm fast, and I'm like, yeah, I'm carrying a lot of speed. Then I see him kind of go faster than me and makes it look effortless, and I'm like, well, there goes my motivation.
Yeah, I know. I can only fathom myself like getting excited about being in a top 10 or top 15 position, and then yeah, here comes Udakan. Oh, there he goes, and then maybe coming around for a second time. That's crazy to think about. Chatting with LSM Chaos Fox here in the driver's spotlight. If you were to basically recap the entirety of this season 33 here in the Pontiac GXP for you, what would be maybe the 1 or 3 words that you would describe things, not only just this race here tonight, but how things panned out all throughout the 9 races?
Honestly, extremely close racing. These cars are really close, and it makes for really exciting racing. It took a little bit for the car to grow on me, and once I got used to it, there was a lot of fun races to be had, both from my point of view and watching the races themselves. There were good battles everywhere on the track, every single race.
Yes, it was a phenomenal season. We can't say that enough. I know it kind of comes cliche as we say it at the end of every season, but it's gotten progressively better week after week, season after season, and big kudos to Slow Motion Fire and the crew for putting things together the way that they have to make it as exciting as it's been. LSM Chaos Fox, great run here this season. Any shout-outs that you want to have maybe to your LSEM brethren or just generally anybody who might be watching?
Well, big shout out to Slow for the good race. I don't know if she's watching right now. She's partaking in the Tora GTCC right now, but my friend Hoot Wheels, who was in earlier in the season, big shout out to her. She's made a lot of progress. Also to Wolf, because we had a lot of good races here and there throughout the season.
Yeah. You guys certainly did. It wasn't just here at Prague, but all throughout the season. LSM Chaos Fox, it's always a pleasure catching up with you, getting your insight, and we hope to see you in season 34.
All right. See you then.
All right. So there's LSM Chaos Fox after not only finishing behind Wolf, but then speaking after Wolf there in the driver's spotlight. Both of them giving us the same account with regards to the curious tuning gear ratios that they had to work with. They could only adjust the final drive here with that sport transmission applied to the Pontiac GXP Solstice here in season number 33. And with that, now we'll go on up to the driver who finished, let's see, I'm going to have to do a couple more counts back. Unfortunately, DOR Hocus not having an awesome showing. You were further up at the start of the race and unfortunately got caught up in an incident that put you back quite early, and then from that point forward, you were just battling your way up through the top or through the back of the field. And let's see here. I'm not even going to try to do the count. I'm going to rely on you to tell us where you finished out there at Prague.
I DC'd second to last lap.
Oh, well, never mind. I didn't even notice.
So I finished 20th.
Okay, so we completely missed that disconnect there on those last couple of laps. Even still with the disconnect, like I mentioned, you kind of had a rough go there early on. Just maybe, obviously, if you could have done this race over again, how would it have started?
I dirtied my last 2 laps during qualifying, which put me back in starting in 20th, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, which is odd. And started 20th, first couple laps, I went all the way up to 8th position, hit the wall, pitted, came back out in 17th, all the way back up to 12th, DC'd. So I thought I did really well, except for the 2 times that I barely touched the wall and got damaged. But yeah, that's just Prague.
That's just Prague. How much practice did you have in advance for this race and in this vehicle? Obviously, Forza Motorsport 7 now over 2 years old, so a lot of folks very familiar with the track. But as it relates to the Pontiac GXP, which a lot of folks were jumping into maybe for the first time ever, was it the car combination out at this track that made it difficult, or was it just the fact that you had 22 drivers out there circling this city circuit that made it a little bit extra tricky?
It's just extra drivers out. I did probably 200 plus practice laps in this car this week on this track because I wanted to do good for what I was doing. And every time I just got behind somebody, it's like really hard to see some of those corners. And I'd get behind somebody and just barely slightly touch the wall, and it'd throw you away or give you some damage to it. So.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And then it's just one of those tracks that you have an incident like that, and very quickly it starts piling up, and you start losing more and more time. Talking with DOR Hocus here in the driver's spotlight after the conclusion of season 33. Hocus, everybody's looking. We've got on the screen here a couple of screen grabs of your vehicle. It's not the latest and greatest. I know you sent me a couple more just before the race got kicked off, but if you, from your words, could share what the livery means to you here in this the final race of the season.
So yeah, I was in contact with the place that I work with and asked them if they would to donate for Children's Hospital for my last race, and to donate whatever they wanted for whatever position that I've finished in, and for the total number of championship points that I would end up with for the season. So they said yes. So I copied the Kelly Moss livery from the Porsche and put it on the car. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, some of the folks at the Children's Hospital were actually watching, which was nice.
Yeah, very nice to have you folks tuned in, and hopefully DOR Hocus with this livery has done you proud. Not the finish that he was looking for, but definitely a great design. And anytime any of our drivers can come up and share with us kind of a reason, a rationale behind their livery and what cause it is that they're racing for, that's always extra special. DOR Hocus, any in addition to maybe the Children's Hospital, any other shout outs that you want to throw out here before we wrap things up here tonight?
Yeah, shout out to like all the first responders and everybody fighting this thing up front here on the front lines. They're doing a great job.
They're doing go ahead.
Fantastic job, and also shout out to all of the people that actually have to go to work and put up with crowds and fast food and grocery stores and all that stuff.
Yes.
Shout out to everybody.
Yes, very, very important. And I say this, I've said this all throughout the season. We don't intend or mean to sound tone deaf with getting so excited about virtual racing and seem like this is the most important thing at the moment. But in reality, what we're trying to do is provide that little bit of entertainment, that little bit of a reprieve from the things happening in the world around us here on Virtual Autosports, but not forgetting those folks who are serving on the front lines, which usually when we say that, we're talking about the military folks who are protecting our freedoms, which without a doubt, those individuals, men and women in uniform, are most certainly still doing during this pandemic. But then it extends beyond that. It is the folks who are the first responders who still have to answer the call day in and day out and put their lives on the risk, just like they did before the pandemic, but even that much more so during it. And then it even extends down to those folks who are in those roles, those jobs where it is essential that they show up. And essential here these days isn't just first responders, but those folks who are in our grocery stores and at the plants that produce the items, the food items and produce that we need to continue to lead and live a somewhat normal life during this very odd and hopefully short-lived period of time. Hopefully we'll see all of this come to a head And then, of course, thanks to those folks who are putting in the countless hours of research and effort to try to find some sort of cure or way to stave off this thing here in 2020. Now turning attention to AMS Uticon, who's won season number 33, not in this race here today, but did so back coming out of week number 4. AMS Uticon, you were just tearing it up out at the track there. Only Carbon eluded your lap charades there by maintaining a position on the lead lap. Everybody else, you put one lap down.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun when Carbon and Corvid died, which was kind of unfortunate because I was going to drop back and have a little bit of fun with them, but I then decided to just set my sights on how fast I could go and see how many people I could lap. I ended up laughing with Carbon in the Discord. I was just like, okay, how are we going to bet if I can lap you or not? And he just turned up the heat then, and I was like, no, I want to win this bet.
Oh, man. It's always exciting, especially when you enter the last race of the season. Obviously, we would prefer to have it where
it's always exciting, especially
where the points come down. Oh, my gosh, I'm hearing myself echoing. There we go. We got that fixed.
I don't think that's through my end.
It's always exciting when we see the final race decide who the champion's going to be, but then it's fun when we know that that's not going to be the case, and there's kind of like these little side bets or vanity bets or challenges that are on the side. Did anybody else throw anything at you of like, hey, maybe you can go into a corner, do a 360, and still be able to come out of it in the position that you were? Or any other things that anybody might have said to kind of spice it up here in this final race?
Yeah, see, I had the Twitch chat open while I was racing, and I was looking over every now and again, and I just saw Matt do a 360. I was like, I'm tempted, maybe. That was like really early on to the race, and I was just like, I don't have just quite enough gap yet.
Yeah. Of course, you could have probably done 5 360s, if not more, there toward the back end of the race. That being said, how were things from your position? Obviously, you were very, very successful in this one, and you've won 8 of the 9 races here in season 33. But then you go out to a fantasy track, the only fantasy track here on this season calendar, and one where we had 22 drivers on a short track of just a little over a mile. A lot of traffic to contend with. Were things pretty clean, or were you having to be very tactical in the way that you approached some of those back markers?
Everything was actually really, really clean. We all called out like if there was a crash or if like we were coming up to lap someone, and everybody would move out of the way like really, really nicely, which was really fun.
And sometimes a little bit more than you would need. I know some folks kind of like jump out of the way, but yeah, from what we saw, it was pretty clean. Granted, we didn't get enough time to put on the camera on your car as you were just way too far ahead. Early on, though, Carbon he qualified there on row number 1 with you and was right there bumper to bumper with you for the first, 10 laps or so. Had an incident that put him back, and then he hard charged back through the field from 14th up to 2nd. If he had maybe another 20, 25 laps, surely he might have been able to catch you, but if only Carbon would have been able to hold on, that would have been a heck of a finish.
Oh, it really would have. It'd have definitely been nose to tail, I think, for the entire race. He's very quick, and we were both very even on pace, like throughout that race.
And so, with that being said, is there the possibility of a Carbon Uticon battle in season 34, or do you kind of withdraw yourself from the next season and kind of let things play out with the other drivers?
Oh, I'm definitely going to compete in next season. It's going to be a laugh with the car I've chosen, which I'm not giving any hints to because that's just no. But no, I'm hoping Carbon can make it next season. There was rumors that he might not be able to make it, but it'd be bad. I kind of want him back in. I want another battle with him again.
I know. We want him back as well. Carbon, make it happen. I don't know what other obligations you've got, but let's make it happen. Chat with AMS Uticon, who won not only this race out here at Prague, but then the season 33 in the Pontiac GXP. You're not going to give us any teasers, any hints, or anything like that. It's got 4 wheels, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We're not going to be out there in any of the 3-wheel vehicles in Forza Motorsport 7. Fair enough. If there's, I don't know, if you could say what one track the vehicle that you have in mind matches up with nicely, what track do you think would be the best for this vehicle in season 34?
I'm gonna have to say Nordschleife just because it's very, very memey.
Back out to the Nordschleife. You're making people's and especially yourself, because that's the one race that you ended up not sweeping the series with.
Yeah, I have to redeem myself, I think, next season if that does come up. So if any of the drivers are watching and they guess the car correctly, pick the Nordschleife for me. Thanks. Appreciate it.
And everybody immediately marking the green hell off of their checklist, off of the things that they'll be selecting for season 34 if they win the photocop. MS Udakan, congratulations with your win here today, and we do look forward to seeing you there in season 34. Hopefully we can get Carbon to make it happen. That way you guys can go at it again.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, and then speaking of Carbon, we've got him waiting here in the queue over on the FM4 Discord. Carbon, a disappointing way to finish the race, which is kind of a weird way of saying it, because you started out in second, fell back to 14th, which is the disappointing part, but then you make your way back up to second. You just didn't have enough time to contend for first position there in the final laps.
Yeah, a lot of really frustrating mistakes there at the beginning, but luckily I had a good, 60 laps to crawl my way back out of that hole I dug.
Were they self-inflicted mistakes? Were these mistakes of some of the lap traffic around you? What was the scenario?
It was 100% my fault. The first one, I just, in turn one, cut it a little too close and went straight in, and then it just stopped me. So went around the track with little damage and had to do a two-pit the rest of the, or had to end up doing the two-pit. But yeah, I mean, I can't be too upset. A second place is a second place. But it would have been great to be up there with Huracan.
Talking with Carbon here in the driver's spotlight after your first season participating here in the Forza Spec Racing season, Spec Racing League. You're going to finish second overall on the leaderboard with 372 champion points. This after entering week number 5, just 1 point ahead of SGR Corvid. Unfortunately, Corvid having just as many woes in this race as you. That would have been a good battle to see pan out.
Absolutely. I mean, me and Corvid have been neck and neck in the championship all season, and it was pretty awesome. Only, I think the most points that we had between us was 3, so it was a great season overall.
A great season, and so now my question is, what's it going to take for us to get you back for season 34?
Oh man. Well,
Not
the only reason I was able to
I am.
only reason I was able to make it this season was because everybody is locked at home with everything that's going on in the world, and I'm gonna try. I will try.
Okay.
No promises.
No promises.
I will try.
Gotcha. No promises, but you'll give it an honest effort. With that being said, I think one of the great questions that I can ask anybody who joins this league for the first time is whether you're back for season 34 because of your availability is neither here nor there. What would you say to anybody who's watching and thinking, well, gosh, I've either enjoyed racing in league assembled events, or community assembled events, or I haven't in the past and really would love to. What would you say as far as the Forza Spec Racing Series, and any words of encouragement that you might have for somebody to go ahead and make that decision to sign up for season 34?
Oh gosh, I don't see there being a decision. Great group of guys to race with. Everybody is super respectful. A lot of great fun in the chats. I mean, there's no one there is nobody in the chat that's going to ever make you feel out of place. It doesn't matter what your skill level is in Forza. Just go for it, because it's going to be a fun time regardless.
Yep, I wouldn't. This is my opinion from the broadcast side, is I wouldn't continue to broadcast and commentate on this league if I didn't see and feel the same sense of togetherness and camaraderie that you just expressed there. So anybody who's maybe a little bit timid thinking, hey, I don't want to join because I'm concerned about whether or not I fit in with this group, either because of my skill level or for other reasons, give it a shot. And if you don't like it, then step away. But I think Carbon is telling us that you will definitely enjoy yourself here. All right, Carbon. So if it's not the Forza Spec Racing Series, where might we see you take your talents next? Are there tour events that you participate in, or where might time permit you to be a little bit more flexible with regards to community-based events?
Oh man, so currently I'm doing the Grid Life Time Attack
Oh,
Challenge,
okay.
which ends tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I won in my class last week, so hopefully I can do that again tomorrow. And then coming up, I think this weekend on Sunday, I'm going to be doing the DOR Super Mini with Dino Dad and Herbie. So that should be a lot of
Oh, there
fun.
you go. Dino, Dado, and Herbie. Those are two names that
Yeah.
we're very familiar with. Awesome. Awesome. Keeping himself busy and engaged with the Forza community and elsewhere, too, with the Grid Challenge. So awesome work there by Carbon, and awesome work here in season number 33. Whether we see you or not, we wish you the very best moving forward. And any shout-outs or any last remarks here this evening?
Definitely a huge shout out to Huracan. It's been a blast chasing you all season. Another huge shout out to Corvid. He did an absolutely amazing job
Mm-hmm.
all season long as well. And oh god, I can't think of everybody, but I know CT did an amazing job as well, Cratrium,
Mm-hmm.
and then of course Matt with all of his gifted subs.
Yeah,
But I can't.
yeah, Matt's acting weird here today. No, I'm kidding. Matt's a genuinely good dude no matter what. But
Yeah,
Carbon, awesome talking with you all throughout the season. I appreciate not only your participation in the series, but also here in the booth after and in between races. It's been a pleasure.
it's been my pleasure. Thank you everything for what you're doing, Dustin, and uh, can't wait to see next season.
Can't wait to see next season whether he's behind the wheel or not. He'll find a way to be here one way or the other. And now we'll go to our next driver in the queue, which is Kuda93. I think if I'm doing my math correctly here, 18th position was your finish out at Prague.
Oh, yeah.
It was, yeah, so back there from, let's see, Modern Weapon, yourself, D-Fire, Grim, Fear, and T-Phrase, who ended up disconnecting in this race. Craziness out there, and that was no different for those of you bringing up the rear of the train.
Yeah, I really felt pretty good going into this race. I'd practiced a lot this week. Had a good tune down, was running kind of 106s pretty steadily, and then qualifying clean is a totally different thing than the route we were taking during the race. So didn't qualify super great, and then was the first of many accidents during that race. So just a chain reaction that wasn't the best, but still managed to finish.
Managed to finish and finished out the season, which looks like maybe you were able to get within the top 20 there on the leaderboard. This after having 2 weeks of goose eggs, either because of I don't think it was disconnects, it was no shows, right?
Yeah, I didn't start until week 3.
Until week 3. So, do we get a full season out of you in season 34, or is it just kind of you show up when you're available?
Hopefully full season. Now that I'm fully in it, I'll get to see if 3 weeks allows me to have a green number plate next season or not. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the next car is. I'm a little worried because Huracan keeps talking about his interesting choice.
Yeah.
So we'll find out soon, I guess.
Yeah, he keeps referring to it as a meme choice or something, and it's pretty crazy. Carbon with the 1,000 bits. Thank you very much, Carbon. Saying Dustin is the true. No, you guys make it all possible. I'm just a person behind a microphone here. I'll get back to that there real quick, Carbon. But let me get back to Kuda. Your name is Kuda. I don't know if it's any relation to the Hemi Kuda. And if you're looking for maybe some muscle to show up here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, what would be your ideal choice of car for season 34?
So I usually run A class, and I've got a few different cars that I run. Most of them are muscle cars. So the new Camaro ZL1 is probably my favorite one that I run with. Some classic Corvettes, things like that. So yeah, anything like that. A lot of power that you can make handle with some parts are what I enjoy.
Okay, all right. Yeah, we'll see what I don't know. I don't know if maybe Udokan is just saying this, and then what we're going to get is something that we're like, oh well, that's not as memey as we anticipated. Maybe he's all doing just a little bit of psychology, like reverse psychology for us there, and it's going to come with something pretty bland or just typical. Who knows? Who knows?
Or we're all going to end up in Unimog. So.
Yeah, and then we'll be doing 40, 50-minute races every time because those things will take so long to get around the track. That being said, season 34, if you get a shot at picking if you pick the correct vehicle out of the photos that Slow Motion Fire takes to allow everybody to guess what car it is for season 34, what track would you like to see on the schedule if it hadn't been raced here in season 33?
That hasn't been in 33. Yeah. Brands Hatch is always fun.
It's interesting that you mentioned that because I don't think we've had a single Brands Hatch race in the Forza Spec Racing Series that I've broadcasted for the last 10 seasons or so.
It gets skipped a lot. It comes up in hoppers every once in a while for me, but it's not a choice that people make very often. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I like it, is that it's a little different. People don't lap it as much, so they need more practice.
The short or the long, the full track?
Full circuit.
Full circuit.
Yeah.
The whole
full circuit. Yep. Some tricky corners in that second half. So.
Awesome. Well, Kuda, same as I've asked everybody here this evening, any last words, any shout-outs that you want to throw out there?
Just it was a great season. I really enjoyed this. I'm glad I kind of stumbled across this again. Thanks to Slow Motion for setting all this up and being super open to people coming in at all skill levels. Thank you to my friend Brian. I think his gamer tag is Terminator Mark 6. He's a Mustang guy that helped me practice and tune all week for this. So, yeah, looking forward to next season.
Looking forward to it indeed, and we look forward to seeing you out there on the track, Kuda, for a full season, see what he can do with 5 weeks worth of racing. Let's go ahead to our next driver in the driver's spotlight is our man Funteng, who we usually only hear from maybe once a season. So this is it, folks. You better take it in and enjoy it. Funteng, season 33 is done. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Dustin. Oh my days, but what season? I mean, I wasn't here for the first 2 weeks, I think. But oh my days, sick racing. Like everybody was on it. I'm talking about on it. I'm like, yeah. It was just sick. Like the racing, everybody was like chill. I mean, the racing was good. It was very clean. Really good season. Very good season, bro.
What makes this persona that you take on when you hop in here at the end of the season better is the little bit of robotic type voice that we get, the little tin canny sound that we get with the voice. Talking with Funteng here in the driver's spotlight. Slow Motion Fire saying, Foon, you're my hero. Storm saying, here we go. And Carry Out saying, what the heck is this? And Storm now saying Funteng, revealing his true self. Now, this is just your alter ego, or is this more so your true personality?
A little bit from column A, a little bit from column. No, I'm joking, Dustin. This season has been absolutely amazing. Yeah. Absolutely amazing. You've done an incredible job as always, and from FM4's bottom of the heart, much back to Leon.
Yeah, and okay, so enough talking about how well I did and all that stuff. That's fine. It's again, without the drivers, the broadcast would be nothing. You had a stellar finish in this race, I should point out, finishing what I recorded as 5th. You typically have this tendency to qualify about mid-pack, and then some races you'll kind of just hang out there and seem to be content with where you're at, and we'll see you finish right about where you started. But then every once in a while we get these races where you're kind of the dark horse, and unfortunately we didn't get a lot of camera time with you, although we did see there fighting with Kratium a bit. 5th place, well done.
Yeah, I was surprised on that one myself. Like, I mean, the qualifying, I thought this is going to be a good qualifying. I don't know why, but I just felt a little bit confident. And then, once I figured out T1, it just all came together. I mean, it wasn't the greatest performance. I had a little bit of like transmission problem and thing, but it was a really good race. Like CT was, oh my days. I think we were racing for the first 30 or so laps. Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah, absolutely incredible. But everybody else was really well behaved as well. People were getting out of the way. You know, there was no real dramas. It was amazing.
No real drama, as the Forza Spec Racing Series is very well accustomed to. No drama, keeping that out of the league, which is awesome. You were unable to participate the first 2 weeks there, which really would have helped you out in terms of the points. You're going to finish just shy of the top 10 here on the overall leaderboard. Maybe a full season 34 for Foontang, or are you very much interested in what?
Definitely season 34. I'll be about the whole thing. I only missed out a couple of 2 weeks because I was a bit busy. You know what I mean? Some people had to get taken care. I don't want to talk about it. You know what I mean? People are watching this thing.
Oh, and he's gone. We lost him. Are you there?
Yo, bro, you hear me, bro?
Yep, now we can.
There we go.
What talking with Food saying the driver spotlight, what vehicle do you want Udakan to pick? Actually, let me ask you this question, not necessarily what specific vehicle, but are you up for kind of like a very memey or interesting type car? He's saying that he's going to go for a meme vehicle. Is that kind of sound appealing to you, or you're like, hey, Udakan, let's just get us a proper race car here?
About Volcan, bring it on, bring the memes, bring on the good memes.
Oh, bring it on, says Futang. Futang, tell us what folks, where they can see you. I know you're doing your alter ego here on the in the commentary booth and the broadcast booth. What else? Where might else people will find you? Not only here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, but elsewhere in the Twitch world.
I'll go back to the normal voice for this one. Leon is from a role-playing server called The Family RP. You can find information about that at thefamilyrp.com, or you can use familyrp.hasroot.com, and you'll no doubt see young Mr. Leon up to no.
The troubled Leon doing his things out there at in San Andreas in Grand Theft Auto. Man, I stumbled over that last question. Barely got that one out. But Fuatang, any last shout-outs for you here before Season 33 is put to bed?
Summers Leon. I've got big love, Grove Street, big love, Slideways crew, all the Palito team, everybody on Los Santos, like everybody, you know who you are, bad love, especially to my baby girl Freya, especially to Brian, TJ, Jason, Kat, all you, man, love you all. And from me, it's got to be to yourself, Dustin.
Yes.
Of course, to Slow, Modern, all of the team involved, superstars.
Superstars, indeed. I cannot vouch for this league enough. If you are on the fence, whether or not you want to participate, as Carbon said earlier, it shouldn't be a decision. It should just be a matter of fact that you, if you're interested, are going to participate in Season 34. They don't have the details posted yet, but as soon as they are, you bet you'll find them over there at reddit.com/r/fm4. Going to have Nightbot drop the link in there for you. Again, we'll put that in there twice just in case you missed it. Click on over there, and then once they get Season 34 information posted, get yourself registered, signed up, just so that they know who you are and your intent to race. If you can't make all 5 weeks of racing, that's okay. They'll have people who will backfill you, but if you can, then you'll be in the running for the championship. And even if your skill level doesn't put you in a position where you might have a chance at grabbing the championship at the end of the 5 weeks, that's okay as well. Show up, do as good as you can, race after race. I promise you're going to see improvements. And then who knows, for the forthcoming season in 35, 36, and beyond, you might find yourself inching up that leaderboard that much more as you get familiar with the format of the season, as you get familiar with some of the other guys and gals that are out there on the track and who you compete best with. It's going to be a lot of fun. I promise you that much. So if you've had any apprehension about joining a racing league here in the Forza community, go ahead and make this your jump into that experience. And even for those of you who are very well accustomed or acquainted with league racing in the Forza community, and you just haven't participated in this one, the Forza Spec Racing Series, and you've got the time on Tuesdays to make it happen, then do so. Make sure that you're here for Season 34, and who knows, maybe we'll be talking to you here in the driver's spotlight, or having at least your camera or your car on camera as you get around the tracks for 9 races, 5 weeks worth of racing. And just before I was about to close things up, we have Magnolia jumping into the driver's spotlight here, one of the newer drivers of the league. And Magnolia, Season 33 is all said and done. How was your experience here in the Forza Spec Racing Series?
What's going on, man? It was awesome. I wanted to jump in really quickly just to say that if anybody listening or watching, um, this is incredibly fun. This is the first time I've ever done any kind of esport racing type thing, and goodness, it was awesome.
And you did.
Just the last two races that I got to do.
Yeah, and you didn't do. I want to say not half bad because you you finished in the top half here in this race out at Prague. What was a pretty crazy race, right back there behind Chaos Fox and in front of Bourne. Bourne is Ghost. Pretty satisfied with how you performed here in the Pontiac GXP, considering that you hadn't had but maybe 3 full weeks of racing here.
Yeah, dude, it was my goal to come in 10th, and I did, and that was awesome. I could not get the pace to keep up with those guys ahead of me, but that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get 10th, and I'm really happy with it.
So you set yourself up with a goal for this race, this final race, to finish in 10th. You do. Do you now, knowing that the points will be wiped for next season, going into season 34, everybody starts out at 0. Do you have aspirations, a goal set for where you want to be on the leaderboard at the end of season 34?
I haven't quite thought that through yet, but my initial thought is to try to come mid-pack somewhere. I know the guys at the top are incredibly fast. There's no way I'm going to get up there, but anywhere 14th to 11th, that would be amazing. I'm chomping at the bit to get going. I can't wait to get going again.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty motivating because looking back at your weeks here, you did join in week number 1, but it looks like you got a disconnect resulting in just the 3 points there in week number 1. Then you had a couple of goose eggs weeks there for week 2 and 3. So now you're like, okay.
I actually think that's a
go ahead.
I think that's a miss. I think someone put that in there on accident because I definitely was not there through week 1 or 2 at all. So
okay, so not even there at the beginning of the week. So now it's got to be pretty exciting to know that this will be the chance to have at it from the get-go.
Yeah, actually, I saw your stream 2 weeks ago and was like, oh my gosh, I got to get into that.
Nice.
Not realizing that there was only 2 weeks left, but I'm so thank you.
Yeah, like I say during the broadcast, even if it's halfway through the season, if you find yourself wanting to at least get familiarized with how the season is run, how the races are run, great opportunity to do that mid-season. That way you kind of, like you're going to experience here for season 34, you go into that season already knowing those things. You don't have to start fresh there at the beginning of the season, and now you can see what you can make happen there in season 34. Magnolia, what would be your preference now that you've hopped into the world of esports, so to speak, here in Forza Motorsport 7 and the Forza Spec Racing Series? What vehicle would you prefer for season 34 that can be maybe a little wink, wink, nudge, nudge to Udakan?
I would love to see maybe like an S2000 or something small, quick. Yeah, something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we haven't at least in the ones that I've broadcast here from about season 25 onward. No Honda S2000, so that would be a pretty interesting choice. Magnolia,
yeah,
I don't know if you've got anybody watching here with you, or maybe a few shout-outs to some of the folks that you've met here through the Forza Spec Racing Series. Any of those shout-outs before we go?
Just all the guys racing, man. It was I didn't really get a chance to talk at all during the race or before the race. I had some mic issues, so I was silent the whole time. But I mean, everybody has been awesome. Just answering questions and trying to figure out the lay of the land, kind of in the Discord and on Reddit, and it's just been great. Yeah, everybody.
I think he's got it pretty well figured out, so we'll see what Magnolia is able to do in season number 24, joining us there in the driver's spotlight and hopping in for the last couple weeks of season 33. Carbon saying, Magnolia, glad you joined in. Cratrim saying, respectable debut, Magnolia. I can't echo those sentiments enough. Very well done, Magnolia, and all the drivers who made season 33 their debut. Hopefully they'll carry the momentum on into season number 34 with whatever vehicle it is that Udakan's going to ultimately select. Again, the way that it works in the Forza Spec Racing Series is that Slow Motion Fire, who organizes these races, will coordinate that with Udakan, and once they have confirmed that vehicle, they will post up some photos obscure photos that you can't necessarily make out the vehicle very easily, but if you're keen on some of the details, you could be like, oh, that's that one car that I know out of the 700 that there are in Forza Spec in Forza Motorsport 7. And if you guess that vehicle correctly, then you get to pick one of the tracks, which is a pretty decent perk if you want to have maybe a little bit of a leg up one race. Maybe Brands Hatch is your go-to track. Maybe it's Laguna Seca or Catalunya or Mugello, whatever it might be. The vehicle gets selected, you pick it correctly, you pick one of the tracks, and then that'll flesh out the calendar for season number 34, and then everybody hops back out there with a clean slate, no points to their name, and we do it all again for 5 weeks of racing. They take your top 4 finishes, those top 4 weeks worth of points, and that makes up your championship point total, which again, you win the championship, you win bragging rights, then you can pick the car for the next season. But really, it's a league that you can get involved in and have a little bit of fun, and especially ahead of whatever might be ahead and in store for us in the future of the Forza Motorsport franchise. No better time to kind of get yourself buddy-buddy with these drivers and used to this format, because if the next title leads us to having even more options and more things that we can do with organized events like this, then your experience and your involvement early on will pay off that much more, because then we can all benefit from what it is that we'll be able to do with these leagues moving forward, not only through 2020 but on into 2021. Carbon's already predicting the Polaris RZR 1000 carry out, saying the 2018 Exomotive, which was a DLC car. So I don't know that Slow Motion Fire will permit the DLC vehicles, but who knows? I could be wrong. Carbon's saying the Lawnmower Cup. Who knows? Although I don't know what would be the closest thing to a lawnmower in Forza Motorsport 7. I guess the Polaris, right? It'd be pretty dang close. Again, Carbon, super huge thanks to you for the 1,000 bits. Matt, who dropped a sub here this evening for AMS Storm, thank you so much for that. For all the folks who followed here today, Jamie Caroline, who rated us earlier on this evening, thanks to those folks, especially if you're still hanging out with us here on into the late hours of the evening. We're going a little bit extra long here on this final broadcast of season number 33, but have no fear. We'll be back at it here on Virtual Auto Sports this Friday with Forza Friday with D. Moore and the crew. That's me out on the track, you all watching and commentating on my garbage driving as I go out to the circuit for Hydra's legendary lap, and I'm clueless as far as what the car and track combination is for that Forza Race Championship legendary lap. I'm not up to speed in terms of what that event's going to be. So catch me on Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern time right here on Virtual Auto Sports as I try to put down my best time, which will be not good. It won't be good, but then you all can have a laugh and make yourselves feel better at my expense. That's quite all right. And then on Sunday, we've got 3050, a track day experience. Again, you don't have to prepare for this race whatsoever. The beauty of the 3050 experience is that you show up on Sunday. We open up a registration form at about 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Complete that registration form, and in the order in which everybody signs up, you're going to go onto a draft board, and that draft board will be displayed here at Virtual Auto Sports during the broadcast. And on that board are 28 numbers. You pick a number. Whatever vehicle is behind that number, that's the car that you will tune, test, and qualify in during a 30-minute tuning, testing, and qualifying session. And then that's all ahead of a 50-mile race. It's a toss-up in terms of what you're going to get and what our specifications are for that race. So if there's ever been a time where you want to participate in an event where there's no preparation required, you can't be any more ill prepared than this one, and everybody is playing on that same playing field entering the race. What car does everybody get? Do they end up in a car that is a little bit better performing than you, or are you in kind of a dog of a car, or do you get the better car and everybody else is in something that they have to make miracles out of? We all have to find out. That's That's the whole premise of 3050. So join us on Sunday. Again, that registration form will open up at about 10:30 a.m. Eastern. We'll get things kicked off at the top of the hour, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And then as Forza Spec Racing Series goes into its intermission period, into its off-season, we'll be here next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern with Be a Better Photographer, heading into the world of Forza Horizon 4 to take some photos. I'll share some tips and tricks with you. You can share some tips and tricks with me, as we had happen a week ago, not yesterday, but the previous Monday. It's always a lot of fun. It's very chill. So if you want to step out of the racing environment for a little bit and do so with me, we'll go ahead and we'll just take some photos in the virtual world. A lot of fun. So that's what you got coming up here in the next week. Forza Friday, that'll be the next one. Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on Virtual Autosports. Slow Motion Fire and Company, it's been a blast, a hoot. No pun intended there for Hoot Wills, who hopefully we'll see back in Season 34 and see if she can make something out of that season after what was a very promising start to the season, but it all went downhill very quickly after some disconnects and stuff. But all the drivers who were here with us throughout Season 33, we hope to see you back out on the track. For everybody who's been watching us here on Twitch in the Twitch chat, the pit lane as we call it, thank you so much for being here throughout, and we'll pick things back up with season number 34, clean slate. We'll see what the car is. You can catch all that information, all those details as they're announced over on my Twitter, and then also over on the Virtual Autosport Discord is a great way to keep up to date in terms of what's happening here on the channel, not only for Forza Spec Racing Series, but 3050 and beyond. If you all get any more racing action in virtual racing, either in Forza Motorsport 7 or elsewhere, keep it fun, keep it safe, keep it clean, and of course, stay happy and healthy, everybody. We'll see you next time here on Virtual Autosports. I'm Dustin Moore. Y'all have a great week.